Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless, a sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it, and I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory, yeah. Don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 yeah.
This is a statement to appreciate all that is vacant. It's just for the taking. If you make up your mind, you can take it. I'm never complacent. I would work in a mansion or basement, yeah. There's no replacement for persistence, it's a patience, yeah. In this life, I wanna be soaring, to feel sun inside when it's pouring, and I'll fight till anxiety is foreign. I'm so sick of my mind's extortion.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless, a sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it, and I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory, yeah. Don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 yeah.
This is a statement to appreciate all that is vacant. It's just for the taking. If you make up your mind, you can take it. I'm never complacent. I would work in a mansion or basement, yeah. There's no replacement for persistence, it's a patience, yeah. In this life, I wanna be soaring, to feel sun inside when it's pouring, and I'll fight till anxiety is foreign. I'm so sick of my mind's extortion.
My whole life I just wanted someone who noticed me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah,
searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless, a sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it, and I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
my whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, 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 yeah,
This is a statement to appreciate all that is vacant. It's just for the taking. If you make up your mind, you can take it. I'm never complacent. I would work in a mansion or basement. Yeah, there's no replacement for persistence. It's a patience. Yeah, in this life, I wanna be soaring to feel sun inside when it's pouring.
Life's a ride, so let's make it count. Cherish every moment, that's what it's about. Tune in, together we're building our groove. Every beat, every laugh, we're ready to move. A little laughter, some love, we're soaring high. Every single episode, reaching for the sky. News on the airwaves, spreading good vibes. Friends together, watch how our spirits rise. Kick back, unwind, leave the troubles behind. This podcast is gold, the treasure you'll find. With every word, we'll light up your day. Join the conversation, let's laugh all the way. A little laughter, some love, we're soaring high. Every single episode, reaching for the sky. News on the airwaves, spreading good vibes. Friends together, watch how our spirits rise. Kick back, unwind, leave your troubles behind. This podcast is gold, a treasure you find.
What up? What up? What up? Good morning and welcome back to the cafe. Great to see you all again. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you're all amazing today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All the beautiful peeps in the house, thank you for joining us. Lovely to see you all. Great to have you back. Great to be back with you. I hope you're all doing amazing. Like I said, come on in, grab a seat, grab a cup of whatever you're going to grab, and let's get comfortable and do this. I hope you're all doing amazing. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever it is, whoever you are. I hope it's good for you because it's great to be here with you guys once again. Hello, governors. Governors. All right, come on in. Get comfortable, please. Mama Bear won't be here today. on panel with me. She might be in the chat. Welcome, guys. Who we got with us so far? Looks like Alicia J's in the house. Hey. Daniela Kiriaka, welcome back to you. The cat lady from Canada, hello and welcome back to you. Fizzy Cakes, fizzing in. Good to see you, Fizzy. Thank you for joining here. Love Tina 2010, welcome back. The Karma Police are back again. Behave, please, and thank you. Let's see here. Show. Miss Trish Crow, good to see ya. Men's for Kittens, good to see you again today. Always a pleasure. Lacey, welcome back to you. Let's see. The Seahawks fan, good to see you. Thank you for being here with us. Let's see. The trolling account's back in the house. Christina, hello and welcome back. Great to see you today. Have a seat. Get comfortable, folks. Let's do this thing. Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever. Hope it's good. Hope it's great, because you're all great. Come on in. We got plenty of things to talk about today. Yes, have a sheet. A sheet, please. Have a sheet. We got updates for Jack and Lily, of course. I think there's something that we are going to talk about on Idaho. Crazy and weird stuff going on in the world in the news. Of course, our amazing Good Samaritan segment and whatever else we dip our toes into the water wish. It should be good. I hope you enjoy it because I always enjoy doing it with you guys. So going to Shams Club today. Seahawks fans said they're going to Shams. That's awesome. You got that right. Shoe. Yes. It is beautiful out here today. Sunny, gorgeous. It's so bright. I got to wear shades. Yes, my shades. That'd be great now, wouldn't it, Alicia? Yes. Cloudy in Cali. Oh, Lord. I'm sorry to hear that, Daniela. Thank you, Miss Tandy. This is one of my favorite Metallica t-shirts. I have many of them. We all know I'm a head banger and a hippie. I like tie-dye colors. So, do. I love my music, that's for sure. You always catch me wearing some kind of a music t-shirt somehow. Bridget's in the house. Good to see you from Marysville, Ohio. Welcome, Miss Bridget. Neighbor, good to see you. Another Ohioan in the house. I love it. Hippie banger. That's me. Yes. You make us bang our heads too. Well, sorry to do that. I'll never do it on purpose. That's for sure. Thank you for the purple hearts, guys. In memory and honor of Miss Wisdom Speaks. Always in our hearts. Wisdom, we love you. We miss you so much. But I appreciate the purple hearts for that. Always. That will always keep her in our chat here with us on a daily basis. And I appreciate all of you for that. 300 laps. Making another lap on into the cafe today. We appreciate you. Of course not, Alicia. Of course not. Understood. Marysville. I think that's where the women's prison is, isn't it, Bridget? In Marysville? Kind of near Columbus there. I'm pretty sure the creatures, biological mother and father were from Marysville area. That's what I thought. Pretty close. Good stuff. I was right. Good. Well, it's wonderful to have you here with us, Bridget. I appreciate you jumping in. I always love seeing new faces. You guys have no clue. Always love it. Plenty of room in the pot of sauce for meatballs and new members and new peeps just jumping in. You don't have to be a member to be here. Plenty of room for everybody. We always love seeing new faces. Always. Doritos and coffee. Hey, yeah, that sounds plentiful and healthy. As long as they're not the coffee flavored Doritos. Those seemed kind of gross to me. I don't think I would ever be into those. I would be bored. I don't think I would be bored. No. No, I can argue that point. I definitely wouldn't be bored. I might miss you at some point that way, but I wouldn't be bored. No, I got plenty to do to keep me busy. Busy, busy, busy. Thank you, Unknown. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Everybody else wears the sunglasses when they're on here. Why can't I? You know, what the hell? I won't leave them on. I can't handle that. I don't know how anybody goes through an entire show with sunglasses, especially dark ones like these. I don't get it. I said I would. I said I would miss you guys. I don't think that I would be bored, but I would miss you guys. I sure would. I would miss you for sure. Come on in and grab a seat. 23 beautiful peeps in the house today. We got 17 likes. Let's see if we can make that match. All you got to do is elbow it, knee it, punch it, kick it, lick it, smack it, flip it up, rub it down, whatever that like button you got to do to it as you come in that door, and we will get this up in that algorithm where it belongs. Moonlit Baby's in the house. Welcome. Good to see you. Now I would be calling you saying this, please come back. It's not the same without. Okay. If that's what makes it work for you, then sure thing. That's what I would say, Tandy. Whatever works. Miss Noni, Mick Poppins, welcome back. Good afternoon. Great to see you today. Says I'll be listening. Busy building rolling clothes racks. Welcome to my nightmare. Good Lord, ma'am. I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. Well, hopefully you don't work too hard, and I hope listening to us helps you get through it. Larry McWilliam, good to see you. We never like you, Betty and Brittany, AJ, Terry. What a name. Hello and welcome. Jeez. I am in a good mood. I'm trying to be in a good mood. Hopefully it stays there. It's hard sometimes, Miss Cat Lady, but you know, every time I hang out with you guys, it usually does put me in a good mood. So I can't go wrong there. Always wonderful to see you here too. Always love when you join us from up north there. And like I said, guys, we're going to be looking into some updates with Jack and Lily. I think there was something I was looking at with Idaho. I don't know if we're going to touch on that today for sure, but I think we're going to. What is happening? Kent Corbett, good to see you. We're also going to be looking into some wild and crazy stuff going on in the news, in the world. Of course, we look at our Good Samaritan situation out there to make sure there's some positivity still floating around out there in the world, negating all this negativity, and laugh a little bit while we can before we get out of here, and whatever else I throw in here, just to get our day rolling and seeing what is happening in our world. Good morning, Walt Horse. Good to see you. Throw a nice old salt block out there for Walt Horse. That'll suffice him for the day. Come on in and grab a seat, please, and thank ya. Oh, excuse me. Did anyone hear Dana? Yes, we're gonna be looking at that here. Shun Kent. That's probably the first thing. We usually kick off our show with whatever's going on with the Daniel and Lily, or I'm sorry, the Jack and Lily situation. And we're gonna start with one of the updates with that there, and then we'll move into everything else. I like to try to make that the show priority in the beginning because it is very important that we keep that rolling and keep their names and everything going on out there till they're found. Missing children is a bad situation. I'm going to throw out Mama Bear did a video this morning. I'm going to put that in and let you guys check that out. And I really would love everybody. We can put her link in here to go over and hit like on that video as well. It's not a big one. It's just a short, but that's part 1 of 2. She'll have part 2 out, I believe, at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Part 2 to that. So that I do believe I'll be showing you guys here shortly. Miss Paula's in the house. Hello and good morning. Welcome. Good to see you today. Let's see here. Show. Go. They put in over 10,000 hours, you guys, on Jack and Lily Sullivan's case already. 10,000 hours. Can you imagine that? That's crazy already. We do have an interview. Not an interview, but Jesus, I can't talk. Daniel Martel's cousin speaks out on this situation. Good to know, Cat Lady. You're welcome to share it if you'd like. We got a couple different videos to look at with this. Evil Exists. I've been following what they put out to see what that says. Let me see here. A couple different things. We've been following a couple different creators, what their thoughts are on this. Whether they're right or wrong, it gives us a little more insight into different things with it. Of course, the RCMP's website is still about the same, sadly. Yeah, it's true. Probably over 12,000 hours with the 2 weekends. Good point there, Kent. Good point. In Stitches in the house. Good to see another Ohio native here. All right. I guess we'll just start off. We'll start off with Michelle's video first and foremost and get that kicked out for you guys. Got 33 peeps, guys. Please make sure to hit that like button on your way through the door. Share it out. Let everybody know what we're doing in here today. And yeah, Candy, I agree. If you will, please hit the like button. Please share it out. Yes, they did. They did have the candlelight vigil was last night. And of course, think about it, guys. Daniel shows up there, the stepfather to the kids, the one that's been active from day one, the one that's been in the media, the one that's been putting the time in. And guess who didn't show up? Just take a wild guess on that one. That is beyond sad to me, Alicia. Beyond sad to me. I don't understand this. I just don't get it. I don't understand how you carry two children, each separately, for 9 months in your body, and how you react like this to them going missing. I just don't understand that, guys. That makes zero sense to me. My understanding is she did not show up, which is insane. I don't know. It's really sad, folks. It's really, really damn sad. That's all I'm saying at this point. Very sad. So again, if we have any audio issues, please make sure to let me know. Let's get this moving, folks. Again, thank you to Michelle After Dark. She's been putting out some great coverage on this. There is her link. I'd really love to see you guys jump over to Michelle's. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. She does great stuff, guys, and I follow her with a lot of her stuff. So please do that. Show some respect and some support there for that, for what she does. We appreciate her very much. And the link is right there. All right, here we go.
By the looks of things. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hey guys, I got sent this clip. I think it's from TikTok, by the looks of things. Correct me if I'm wrong. Someone I'm sure will in the comments. This is relating to Lily and Jack Sullivan, who are 6 and 4 years old, siblings, currently missing from Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, Canada. And this is allegedly Daniel Martel, who is Lily and Jack's stepdad, cousin. Daniel's cousin, someone called Logan. I can't authenticate this, so don't come at me in the comments saying, Michelle, this is fake, blah, blah, blah. I can't authenticate it. I'm presenting it. Make your own mind up whether you believe this person is who she says she is. I've no reason to disbelieve her, but then again, I can't authenticate her identity. Can't go and ask her for a birth certificate or driver's license, can I? No. Okay, so I'm presenting this. You make up your mind whether you believe it's authentic or not. So it's 40 minutes long. I am going to stop it at intervals to comment. And again, I got sent this. I got sent a link. It's to an iCloud account. Someone's taken a clip, I think, from TikTok. I'll put this link that I got sent in the description box. That's all I can do. All right, let's go.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did mom ever like, hey, I just find it so odd. You would think, did any of them ever make the statement that they wanted to look for the children, or did she make a fuss saying like, I don't want to leave until I find my kids?
No.
Or... Really?
No. So that's what I stated as well. Because when I got there, I said, do you want me to stay with the baby? You can go look.
So this one here is Logan, Daniel's cousin, allegedly. And it's relating to what happened on May the 3rd. We've seen some screenshots put out by the channel It's a Crime Shame. And I showed a handful of those yesterday in my video, and some of you guys came along and said they're fake. Again, can't authenticate screenshots from what look like Facebook Messenger chats. All I can do is put out the information and say, this is out here. I can comment on it, give my opinion on it. It's up to you guys to do the same. In those screenshots, Daniel, quote unquote Daniel, if you want to say they're not real, said that originally his cousin, which we now know allegedly to be Logan, agreed to take the baby because it wasn't deemed a good idea for her to be there at the property while the search was going on. Logan agreed to take the baby. Malia had other ideas. Her mother turns up, changes Malia's mind, and Daniel has not seen her or the baby since. So this is what Logan's talking about.
She goes, I'm going to stay with the baby. Okay, said whatever. So I went looking. So that was the next thing, was when she was told that the baby had to leave the residence. She's exactly told she did not have to leave the residence. They just wanted the baby off the residence.
So I don't know who they is. I don't know whether it's the police or whether it's CPS or whether it's both.
From away from the residence, as like this whole scenario isn't something a kid should be a part of. So the baby was going to come to my house. So she's never been apart from the baby. Never. Like she's meadow. So I said, you're more than welcome to come too. If not, I am comfortable. I have 3 kids of my own. Like Malaya, I can take care of this kid. Like I can take care of the baby, no problem. So first the baby, it was just going to be the baby. And then she decided she was going to come with me.
Okay, so I don't know where Daniel's cousin allegedly lives, but making sense so far, right? That they, whoever they is, wanted Meadow out of the way while the search was going on. Malia was going to go with her and stay with Meadow, didn't want to send Meadow away. Logan gave her the opportunity to come too.
So, but then something changed and we were at the briefing. Her mother said something to her, and then I had to take everything out of my car and put it in her mother's car. And like I said, she had this whole plan, like she was going to drive her car into my house.
Mm-hmm.
And she was going to, and then the plan changed. Oh, I'm going to take the car to.
Here we are again. I'm telling you, just like I said yesterday, Malia's mother is obviously manipulating her in this situation. For whatever reason, there's obvious manipulation going on here. She's changed her mind about multiple things here. She's the reason why she left, in my opinion, truly. There's something wrong. There's a reason why this woman's doing this. She may not like Daniel or his family or where they live, whatever it is. Okay. If Malia has chosen to distance herself from her family since her and Daniel have gotten together, not purposely, maybe, just because she's living her life, okay, with the guy that she's with and their family. It seems that the mother has taken this and turned this situation into a vindictive situation, per se, to get what she wants, okay, and control this. This is not good, okay? There's something else that I think this has something to do possibly with what's going on, maybe, too, okay? This is just my opinion, of course, guys. I don't have proof of any of my thoughts or anything like that. I just have feelings and opinions and theories based on what we've seen. So, and it's a mess. This is happens a lot. Families have problems constantly because people get involved. They get, they become nosy. They put their 2 and 4 cents in, okay, when they shouldn't. They don't know how to mind their business. In a situation like this, if you want to step in and help, that's fine, but you shouldn't be putting yourself in the middle of a situation unless you're asked to. That's my opinion. Unless there's some real serious issue going on. Hey, chick, good to see you. You shouldn't be stepping in the middle of somebody's mix. Mother, father, grandparent, I don't care who you are. So just giving you a little bit of my feelings on this as we go forward on this. Because like Kent said, it does get better.
To my mother's, like I'm going with my mother. Well, she didn't even come back for the car. Like the search and rescue had her car towed to wherever she was because they left the car. That's how much of a hurry that was to leave.
Now, what is that about, guys? What is that about? You're in that much of a hurry to get the hell out of there that you left your vehicle there? Huh. Okay.
Malaya stayed at they stayed at the
Well, if this is true, this is really bizarre. It's really strange.
residence Friday night.
And just out of curiosity, because I think you said something and I wasn't quite sure I understood. When did Malaya's mother arrive at the house?
So she arrived Friday. She was there before I got there on Friday when they went missing.
So Friday, May the 2nd, when Lily and Jack were reported missing. Malaya reported them missing around 10 a.m. So the mother, Cindy, Malaya's mother, turned up on the Friday. So she was there. Okay.
I'm not sure the exact time. We all tried to figure that out. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did Malaya's mother stay overnight there?
I am unsure, but she was there in the morning when I got back, when I came back. So she could have stayed the night. I am, like I said, I am unsure because I didn't stay at the residence that night. I went home. And Daniel did pass the lie detector test.
So what was...
Okay, so Daniel passed the lie detector, according to the alleged cousin.
Good morning, Randy Burr. Welcome back, brother. Great to see you. So there you go. Daniel passed it. There's another verification that he did pass it. I still think Malaya should be taking one. I think her mom should take one at this point, too. I know that sounds dumb. Some people will think that's dumb. I don't trust her family now. I don't trust her or her family, to be honest with you guys. There may be nothing that they did. Nothing whatsoever. Your actions speak louder than your words, in my opinion. And it makes me very uncomfortable. And at this point, Daniel offered to take this test. He wasn't forced to do it. They didn't ask him to do it. They didn't tell him he was doing it. He said, I want to do this so that people can look at me and stop saying the dumb shit that they're saying to him. The one person that's been out in front of this from the beginning trying to find these kids, okay? Yeah, it has been 1 full month, 100%, bro. 100% 1 full month, guys, as of yesterday. Sorry. Welcome, Jackie. Good to see you today. So, again, and we've seen this mother one time, once. And she can't even show up for the vigil? You got me bent. I'm just saying. That's bullshit. Sorry. Very strange. I heard somewhere that this Malaya showed up either right before or just after the RCC. That was my next comment, Kent. That's my next comment. My understanding is that Cindy lived quite a distance away. I thought it was like an hour. Okay. So how did she show up right after RCMP then if she lives an hour away or close to an hour away? Here's why I believe that Cindy needs to be taken a polygraph myself. There's something going on here. The way they bolted, got the hell out of Dodge, the whole mix and mess. Something's not right, okay? I got questions, folks. Lots and lots of questions is all I'm saying. Thank you, Kent. So, yeah, thank you very much for that info, too. That's something else I found out early this morning myself. Very strange, guys. Very strange.
Now, some of you guys are saying, when I did a video about him telling the news that he passed, but using kind of an odd phrasing. Yeah, I get it. I get it. That some of you are going to say, well, how do you know he passed? I don't know. I haven't seen the polygraph results. He could be lying. Of course he could. Unless RCMP come out and say, yes, he passed. I mean, look, they did that in the Summer Wells case, but not for a while. When Don and Candice Wells took polygraphs when Summer Wells went missing, it was months before, I think it was Brian Enton, the reporter, who had an interview with Sheriff Ronnie Lawson.
Welcome, CZ. Good to see you. Let me say something, too, real quick. And I'm just going to put this thought out there. I don't have any basis for this yet. Any kind of proof, okay? It's a pure speculation when I say what I'm going to say, but we've all said this from the beginning, and we know that this guy has been looking for these kids. Okay? He's been very involved in this. The mom has it. Neither has the grandmother. Okay? Malaya's mom, I should say. So, let me just say this, and I'm going to leave it right where I say it. You're not going to look for something if you know where it is. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Take that for what it is. This is an opinion I have. But you're not going to look for something if you don't need to, if you know where it's at. That's all I'm saying.
And he asked him directly, and he said, yeah, they passed. I'm sure it was Brian Enton. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. But yeah, it was months down the line. Are the RCMP ever going to come out and say, yeah, Daniel passed? Maybe.
My understanding, by the way, guys, is that Canada's laws are different than the United States in certain ways, like about what you can say, what you can't say, what you can put out, what you can't during an investigation. So that could be why he hasn't just clearly come out and said I passed. He said they were favorable. They were in his favor. So I'm just saying that. I'm not saying that, Alicia, what we talked about the other day. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's something else. I'm not saying that they came and took down kids, so on and so forth. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm saying there's more to it than just what you were saying, though. I know what you're saying. It's not just that. There's something else with this. It's not just leaving to get away. Nothing. There's something else attached to this is what I'm trying to say. And that's why I'm saying hey, Josie, good to see you today. She's right. If she was just trying to get away and leave, then just leave. There's nothing to hold you there. I understand. Unless there's been threats about him taking the baby from her because she doesn't have ample, her own, doesn't have her stuff together. Maybe they had an argument at one point and he said he was going to keep the baby if that happened. Who knows? I'm not saying because I don't know, but there's something else that I'm talking about. If you know, when I said you wouldn't look for something if you don't know, if you already know where it is, there's something else attached to that. Not that she's just trying to leave, because you're right on that aspect. But there's something else there that I think we don't know about. We don't see. He even said himself, I wish I could tell you guys the little details that are part of this, but he can't. There's something else with this. If she had possession, if he would allow her to leave with the baby, that's what I'm saying. You're right. Well, that's here though. We don't know if that works that way there. I don't know. It probably does, but I don't know that yet. Oh, of course, chick. Hey, Sarge, what's happening? So there's something else with this, and I feel like it has something to do with um it might have something to do with like their nationality and stuff, possibly. This is just my mind working in circles. That's all. But we'll see. We'll see what comes out of this. I just have thoughts on this.
Maybe if they do another press conference and they get asked directly about it, maybe. I don't know.
What was Daniel's relationship like with Malaya's mom?
From what I understand, Malaya's relationship with her mother was never great. She didn't want to live with her mother. So Daniel's poison is, from what I understand, poison. Like
Okay, so Malia's mother thinks Daniel's poison. Why? Is Malia's mother just overreacting and just doesn't like anybody, doesn't like Daniel, doesn't like anybody that Malia's with? Or is there a reason for it? This is the bizarrest situation I've probably ever seen in a missing child's case. This is bizarre.
Always said, and he said this in his interviews over and over again, is every time Malaya got ahead in life, her mother pulled her back. So we'll just go with that.
No, I haven't heard him saying that in interviews. Have you?
I just find it strange how the grandmother would convince her daughter to leave
the residence
instead of staying with her to look for these babies.
That woman has never shed a tear the whole time she was there.
All right, I'm not a crier. I just don't cry. Don't cry anything. So the fact.
Neither did Malaya, though. So maybe they don't know how to cry. Who knows? Maybe they were born without tear ducts. Who knows? Just joking on that one. But I'm just saying, you know, that's kind of partially where I'm at with that a little bit, Tandy. I don't know how this family feels about that, but we're hearing how manipulative Cindy, her mother, could be, can be, is. We don't know the rest of the dynamic there. And as you're hearing that it's possible that they never really did get along very well, Daniel's poison, you know, think about how these situations work themselves out sometimes. It's very interesting. So it could be.
The fact that the grandma allegedly didn't cry, okay, just be one of those people like me who, when you come upon a crisis, then you kind of, I don't know, you put your emotions aside and do what needs to be done. But in a case where 2 of your grandkids are missing, the thing that needs to be done is finding them. So why would you leave without doing anything to help? And why would you take the daughter away, the mother of the kids? Why would you take her away? Don't like this.
My dad even stated that. He goes, I cried. Like, my father cried and cried and cried. This is a 55-year-old man. And he cried for those children. And that grandmother didn't shed a tear.
Now, I know you can't speak on Daniel's behalf, but what does he really truly believe happened to these kids?
That's something that he has stated all along, that it's something that has to come from him. Honestly, he believes they were, I think he believes that they were picked up by now, like that they were abducted, because there's no sign of them in the woods. He doesn't believe they're in the woods.
Honestly, not a lot of people believe Lily and Jack are in the woods. Look, at this point, I just don't know. Everything's on the table.
So he really doesn't believe that mom had anything to do with it?
That's something I don't know, because, like, you know, you always have your line of doubt, right? Like, you always have your theories and your things, so I can't speak on his behalf on that. Like,
yeah, I understand. I just know that they both used each other as an alibi and in the morning in regards to the situation.
Absolutely. And no, I don't believe he believed or believes that Malaya had anything to do with the children missing.
Look, they were living in a trailer together, so if Malaya had done something to the children, where was Daniel when she did it? And how did she disappear them without Daniel's knowledge? Then again, if you followed the case of Quinton Simon from Georgia, incredibly tragic. And in that case, Lilani Simon, she murdered Quinton in the house, possibly the same room that her boyfriend, also called Daniel, was sleeping in. And then there was Lilani's brother was in the house, there was 2 other kids in the house, and no one knew. And then Lilani took Quinton's body to the dumpsters close by, like a trailer park close by near the home, and put him in a dumpster, and then went back home as if like nothing had happened, and then pretended that Quinton had gone missing. So, does it happen? Yes, absolutely. So, again, anything's possible.
A question that I have is, did Malaya have, or do you know, if Malaya had her own cell phone?
Yes, she has her own cell phone. I've called her on it.
Okay. And Daniel has his own cell phone?
Absolutely, but they're a very open couple.
Okay, all right. Yeah, no, I was just curious.
I see that. Did you think Malaya met somebody else type deal?
Oh, no, that's not where I was going with this. No. No, I was actually thinking back to when Daniel had said that he had gone out looking for the children, and that the police, he had offered up his phone to the police to check the GPS and, you know, all that sort of thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. No, they do have separate cell phones.
Okay, all right.
And the cops even gave Daniel a cell phone while they took Daniel's cell phone. So, like, yeah,
Right.
no.
Okay.
I don't know, like I said, like whatever she has offered up or whatever she has done, if she had a lie detector test or whatever she has done, I can't speak on her behalf anymore because I haven't seen her since literally that Saturday, but I haven't spoken to her since that Sunday.
Uh-huh.
So did it come as a shock to Daniel that she actually up and left him?
Yes, 100%. Like because one moment there was an altercation at the end of the driveway, which was me and one of Malaya's family members screaming at each other.
That's the argument. So that was Daniel's cousin, allegedly, who was involved in that.
And the cops were called down. So when the cops came down, they took Malaya aside. They took my mother aside because my mother said she was part of the altercation, which she was. I was as well. And my aunt. We all got spoken to by the police. Malaya literally told the police officer right then and there, like, this is the happiest I've ever been. I feel the safest when I'm with here. Like, even when she left, Officer Mason was dead shocked, as was Daniel, that she actually left. Because she told the officer that it was the safest she's ever been. So when
after her mother got there,
that was before her mother got to her.
Before her mother.
So that statement, if that's a true statement, okay, happiest, I can understand. You know, she's happiest when she's been there with Daniel, so on and so forth. But it was said more than once, safest. What do you mean by safest? This is the safest you've ever been in your life, is here? I can see with Daniel, she's the happiest she's ever been. But what does safest mean? This is the safest I've ever been. Was she in some form of danger throughout her life? Not being there? Being around her family? Is there something else going on? You know, I don't know. People's words sometimes are over exaggerated. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're under exaggerated. Sometimes they're right on point. Hey, Cassie, good to see you, dear. But that's interesting. That statement, I'm the safest I've ever been here. I'm the happiest I've ever been here with Daniel, so on and so forth. As soon as her mother gets her alone for a couple 20 minutes, I think he said 30 minutes, she's gone. That's pretty interesting. What did her mother say to her? She holding something over her head? Did she threaten her? I mean, what is the deal with this mother, this Cindy, her mom? What could she have possibly said to her to make her that? Whatever she said, she bolted from the middle of the press conference, went to an ambulance because she was having a nervous breakdown or some kind of an anxiety attack, then packed up stuff and gone. got the hell out of Dodge. Something ain't right. Okay? I want to know the conversation that Cindy had with her to make this all go down like this. And for nobody to come back out and say another word, that's interesting to me. Very, very interesting to me. The biological father's not ever been in their life, Jackie. The grandmother could have bluffed. She'd make stuff. Well, she could have also said, hey, I know where the kids are, not knowing at all. Come with me and we'll find them together. Blah, blah. Something stupid like that. I'm just reaching right now. Just saying. But interesting. Very interesting to say that. If you kind of think through this situation, how this all went down, this is crazy. Okay. Absolutely crazy to hear that.
They got to her. So the mother is the central figure here. Whatever she said to Malia, allegedly, has created, I don't know, a fear, a doubt, a what? Because when Lily and Jack first went missing and Malia had her Facebook up, there was post after post after post about how much she loved Daniel and that she couldn't live without him. And then she disappears with her mother. She takes her Facebook down. She's now put it back up, but every trace of Daniel has gone from it. That's surely not normal behaviour. Just completely out of the blue. When your kids are missing.
I think her mother threatened her. Her mother threatened her with something. Okay? And it involved completely Xing Daniel out of her life altogether if she didn't follow through. My thought is that Cindy threatened to do something, expose something, okay, unless she completely detached from Daniel and his life and his family. What that is, I don't know. That's just my feeling on this, allegedly, of course. And I just, something's not right. It just gets deeper and deeper with this, guys, and it just keeps getting worse. And again, Daniel had no clue. We could tell that. You could tell that in the very beginning. It makes no sense, y'all. Makes no sense at all.
That's your priority?
And I just want to clarify, when you're saying that, she was saying that this is the safest she's ever felt, meaning in your company and your family's company.
Yes.
Correct? Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
So, to know that he got home to go contact her, that he was blocked and deleted, was a complete and utter shock.
How old is Malaya?
Malaya is 27, I believe.
And Daniel's 30.
32, I believe.
Okay. I just want to mention something. There's 211 people in the room.
Yes.
Could we get people to tap, please, and just boost the channel? It really, really, really helps the channel a lot. So if you're sitting here watching and you're enjoying the content, please support the channel.
Yes, tap away.
Well, I would, but I don't use TikTok. I mean, I have a TikTok account. If anybody wants to follow me, it's Michelle After Dark. But I don't use it. I don't post very often. I don't check TikTok very often.
Oh, and I described Daniel and Malaya's relationship great, to be totally honest. Like, for every time I've been around and been there, they've completely got along. So
Yeah, well, on Facebook, they look like a cute couple. They look happy. They did look like a cute couple.
There's been no proof of any issues between these two until this happened. Nothing. I went back through their Facebook accounts. I went back through everything I could find, even other comments that people were putting on the discussion groups on Facebooks about this. There's nothing. They had a good relationship from what everybody can tell. You know, we don't always know what goes on behind closed doors. That's true. But from what you can tell, this was a good family dynamic. They were good. Daniel was good to the kids. They were doing, other than the possibility that she had postpartum depression, which is normal, everything seemed okay. what happened? What did Cindy come into this dynamic and do that promoted this whole mess? Did she have anything to do with what happened to these kids? I don't know. I'm not saying she did. But it seems kind of funny that everything other than the fact, of course, that the kids went missing, which is the most serious thing, everything went completely downhill and fell to shit when Malaya's mother gets involved. Something's wrong. Completely wrong with that. Okay. I don't know why I feel like this. I mean, other than what we visually see, but it just, there's something that just keeps ticking at me about that. I don't know what it is. This is what was going on. This is what we did. You can call off the search. We know where the kids are. And here, go check it out. That wasn't done. Wait a minute. Kickbait. If they took the kids and they let this search go on, like they felt that Malay and the kids were in danger, they should have came around the back door and said to the RC. Oh, yeah, 100%. I agree with that too. And like Alicia said earlier on, you know, we talked about this in Discord the other day. If it's about getting away from a bad situation, all she had to do was take the kids and leave. You didn't have to put on this whole show. But there's something else here with this. I'm telling you, it's not that. I don't think that's it, because Alicia's right. That's real simple. Just pack up your stuff and go. Okay. Something's wrong. There's something else going here in the background that I can't quite understand. Doesn't quite make any sense. Because there's other little things that are involved that we don't know yet. And it's bugging the hell out of me. I'm just telling you, it really is.
I don't know. Every relationship has issues, but I've never. I describe their relationship as great. Like, they became very close. They had a child together. He raises their kids. She helped raise his other kid. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't see any issues.
And has Daniel had the opportunity, since this has happened, to visit Meadow?
No.
And this is another bizarre thing. I do not understand how he's not allowed to see Meadow. I don't get that at all.
So who's preventing him from? Is it Malaya that's preventing him from doing that?
From what I understand, it's Children's Aid.
I don't understand that if Daniel has got nothing to do with Lily and Jack going missing, why is he not allowed to see his own baby? His own flesh and blood? Why? Why is this?
Sorry, from what you understand, it's who?
Children's Aid.
Why would Children's Aid withhold access to his child?
I'm not sure. And this is the type of situation that I've never been in.
Like, he even, I mean...
And he has proved himself over and over again. So, an CPS issue with this is kind of not my spot to say. So what goes on there? But no, from what I understand, and this is the only thing I'm going to say about it, is I believe it is CPS that is doing this right now.
So she believes it is. So I guess she might not know for sure. I don't know. But why? The only thing I can think is either the conditions at the trailer were so bad that shouldn't preclude Daniel from seeing her, even in, you know, kind of supervised situation. So the only other
No. And we saw pictures of the inside of the trailer. It doesn't look bad at all. From what I saw, I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe it was cleaned up. Who knows? But he should still be able to go to CPS or Children's Aid or whatever they call it in Nova Scotia and see his daughter there. Okay. If he had nothing to do with this, past the lie detector, they haven't arrested him. They haven't held him responsible. They're not investigating him in that sense. They've already done all that. Why can't he see her? That's something to do with the mother. And I don't know if it's because they're worried that if he sees her, that he'll try to take custody of her by taking her with him. I don't know if that works the same way in Canada as it does here. You know, whoever has that child has custody until you go to court. I don't know. Something's weird with this, guys. Once again, very strange. Doesn't make sense. The other thing is that Daniel revealed to a crime and shame is that Malaya applied 3 times to get the kids. Yeah, we do know that. And they were, well, here we go. They were rejected until they went missing, Kent. And then once they went missing, then they were approved to have native status. That's kind of interesting. And the baby was not, though. Is it because the baby is not fully native? Is that why? Exactly, Kent. That's what we found that out the other day. As soon as they went missing, they're approved for native status. This is interesting to me. This is what I'm talking about with something else being attached to this, okay? Not that she's trying to get out of a dangerous situation or any of that. What I'm trying to say is there's something else attached to this. Okay? And that's where I think this lies, within that part of it. That's why I said their nationality and their religion, whatever you want to call it. Esty Kane. I'm sure they're probably not Esty. I don't know who Malaya's father is. It doesn't look like Malaya's mother, if that was the right picture we saw. She doesn't seem to be fully native. I can't tell. I might be wrong. Daniel's definitely not. Martell, he's not native. You can look at him and see that there's, at least from my opinion, he doesn't seem to be. And then in turn, that would make the baby Meadow not fully native either. But the kids don't look as if they're fully native either, but they're approved for it now. I don't know how this works, okay? That's what I thought too, Chick, was whoever it's maternal, whoever the mother is. But I don't know because we don't know. So it's something we should probably think about looking into maybe. I don't know what goes on with that stuff. That's interesting though. But there's something with that. I do believe that it has something to do with this. This is just my opinion.
Thing is that Malaya has given them a story about violence or something like that. We just don't know what's gone on behind the scenes, do we?
So is it Malaya or is it Malaya's mom that has access to the little one right now?
The baby, Meadow is in custody of her mother. Like okay. Malaya has custody of Meadow at the moment.
I don't understand why they wouldn't allow Daniel access.
I don't understand why, if this is a case.
Malaya has the baby.
Exactly. Unless she made allegations of domestic abuse. But even then, it have to go to family court, and he should be allowed at minimal right now supervised access.
Absolutely, and
absolutely agreed.
We've been going through all that, but.
That's what I said.
As of right now, we're working on that. So that's something I don't really want to discuss is like his doings with the children at the moment.
Right. And that's fair enough.
And I don't believe she's met anybody else. Like I said she felt the safest in everything there. So everybody's saying that maybe she met somebody new. I don't believe that. Her and Daniel were great, so I can't.
So just your gut.
What I would like to know is the phone records to be checked for the week before in any phone conversations that happened between her and her mother. I think an answer to this could be possibly involved in that. Possibly. Okay. I believe Malaya was already at some point Chick. Yes, I think she was. I do too. I absolutely have a ton of sympathy for Daniel based on what we've seen. Okay. We don't know everything. Remember that. But what has been shown to us, Daniel seems absolutely genuine with everything what does he have to lose? He's lost everything. There's nothing else he could lose. Okay. Other than his freedom. If that were to be something that came down to it. But I'm just saying, like, I hate to say it like this, but at this point, I almost have no sympathy for the mother because it doesn't seem as though she wants anything more from the situation because we don't know what the hell she's doing. She hasn't claimed anything as to what she feels other than that one weird ass interview in the very beginning. Yeah, I think a lot of us have a lot of sympathy for him based on what we've seen so far. He has been the one that has done just everything with this, guys. We don't see her doing anything. And to find out that as of last night, the vigil that they had for the kids, he shows up and their own biological mother does not, that kind of solidified things for me right there. Something's wrong. Bad. Okay. And I can't quite put my thumb on it yet. So hopefully it'll come soon.
Instinct. What do you think? And if you're not comfortable, that's fine. I mean, what is your gut instinct? What's going on with Malaya? Why is she doing all of this?
I believe her mother's kind of manipulative. From what I've seen of her.
Why would the mom want to do this?
Exactly. Why? Why would she want to do this? Like, the grandma's priority is somewhat crooked as well, in my opinion.
Don't know, but what I've met of the mother, I've been Daniel and her have been together 3 years. This is the first time I have ever met the mother, and like I said, and you know when you get vibes from people, you know, even when I was putting my phone number in Malaya's phone for her, when she was leaving, her mother seemed like I was doing something wrong. Like, she was like, what are you doing with Malaya's phone? Like, what are you doing? I said, I'm giving her my number so she has me to call. Like, I'm a safe place. Like, why are you being so nosy on what I'm doing to your daughter's phone? Like,
yeah, I mean, Malaya's 27. She's an adult.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, why? But when I did try to call Malaya afterwards, like on that Sunday, to check on Meadow and to check on her, she answered. And as soon as she answered, what I got was, I said, how is Meadow? She goes, Meadow is fine. And then I hear in the background, who are you talking to? Hang that phone up.
Wow. If that's true, that is something else. And these are all allegations.
There it is. There it is. Something's going on. And I got to tell you, in all of this, I feel like Cindy is the number one perpetrator within the situation of as far as controlling this situation. Whether she had something to do with the kids going missing, I don't know, guys. I don't know. That's not what I'm saying. She's absolutely in full control of this situation. She has full control over Malaya. Why is what I don't understand. And how do you have full control of a 27-year-old woman that has 3 children? She bore 3 children, hasn't had anything to do with you for a while, quite a while. And now you have full control of this situation. Why and how? That's what I don't get. Okay. Yes, that's true about the biological father. This is a strange situation.
This is all. I can't authenticate any of this. I'm just putting it out there. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments. But wow, that's something else.
So she's very toxic. Yeah.
Yes. So then when I called back the next time, because I'm very persistent, I'm going to call the next day, my number was blocked. So, you know, little trick on.
That's interesting, chick. That's interesting. That could explain, that could and would explain how the aunt and the grandmother from the biofather side had information that she probably shouldn't have, since they had nothing to do with this situation. Now all of a sudden they know things. If for whatever reason, maybe Cindy likes the biofather and his family, okay, and she wants them involved. Maybe they're close. Maybe they're friends. Okay, and they've been communicating, and this whole thing was put together for whatever reason to bring those kids back in their life. That could make some sense. That could make some sense. Hey, JC, good to see you, dear. I'm also going to say the same thing I said about the people saying they are family to the bio dad who are talking. We can be totally sure well, that's true too. But, you know, if that were the case, if that were the case, well, that's why I think Michelle keeps saying it. We don't know that this is Daniel's cousin for sure. I'm sure that he will verify it at some point that if it was or wasn't. But if this is all true, if this is what it is, it's quite interesting. Very interesting and very strange. Yeah, it is beyond weird, and it is sad because once again, here we are dealing with the outside of a situation, and what's in the middle is the most important priority, the kids. Okay, and they're not the priority, obviously, at this point. Would the RCMP be able to go see if the kids were at the rest? See, I don't know either. I know that there's different laws on the reservation, and they're only allowed to do certain things. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. That's a good question, Busy. That's a really good question. Grandma knows that mom doesn't want anything to do with bio dad, but has a soft spot for bio dad. She can put a wedge against. Yeah. No. That's a good point. It's a very good point. Wow. Yes, we can. Belinda is talking to a crying shame. She told us that who her son is not the Cody Lee Sullivan that was out there as the father. And she had been talking to Daniel and relaying info. Right, Kent. Right. It's interesting, guys.
On your phone, if you're blocked, you can private your number and it will still go through. So I did call, but I didn't say anything because I wanted to see who would answer the phone. Her mother answered the phone, and she went Malaya's phone, so I did not talk, and I just hung up the phone because I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere.
Actually, that does make sense, because there was I don't know which reporter it was from one of the news channels, tried to contact Malaya, and it was the mother that answered and said that she wasn't doing any interviews. Or
why does Cindy have so much control over this woman? There's my issue. Okay, now I really got to wonder if hearing that statement that that RCMP told her not to talk to media, if that came from her or if it came from her mom, because this is looking like all this is coming from Cindy. She's answering her phone for her, for Christ's sakes. I mean, this is ridiculous. I'm just saying, I got issues with this, folks, all the way around.
I don't know the words, I'm paraphrasing. But yeah, that did happen to one of the reporters as well.
You're a 27-year-old girl and your mother has custody of your phone. I think there's an issue there.
Interesting.
She seems
very interesting. That is controlling behavior.
It's very toxic to me, and like I said, it's very controlling, and that's how Daniel has described her to me because I've asked about her.
Yeah.
Jack, it's time to go to bed, baby.
And no, that's not Jack who's missing. She's got a kid called Jack.
No, it's time to go to bed.
I said that the other day, Fizzy. I've been wondering that for a while now because I know there's laws that it allows them to withhold certain situations. Welcome, Contessa. Wonderful to see you, dear. I hope you're having a great day. It's wonderful to see you. I know there's certain laws. How? I don't know the laws, and I don't know the variation of how they work, but I do know there's certain laws. God, this is where I really miss Wisdom so bad. Wisdom was native. She knew a lot of the laws. And could tell us a lot of this, you know. She'd have been all over this case, I'm telling you right now. In fact, she was in the very beginning. Hey, Ginger, good to see you. So that could be, Fizzy. It's something I've been thinking about for a while now about that. And it's like, you feel like it could be something, but we don't know for sure. And it's hard. We're not going to get that information until something in the end. You know what I mean? Sadly. But I keep thinking about it and keep thinking about it and keep thinking about it. I got to wonder. You got to wonder on that. If they continue the charade, they'd be liable and on the hook. Oh, yeah. They can be charged at some point. Now, I'm sure that they're probably thinking, if this is a scenario, we'll just say that this was a scenario because they're on the reservation, because the reservation's involved, they may get away with this. But at some point, you're still able to be charged for Something to do with what's the word I'm thinking of here? Messing around with an investigation. I can't think of the right word off the bat, but I know what it is. Okay. They can be charged for that and for the resources that were wasted on a situation, so on and so forth. So, yeah. And that's maybe not something that was taken into effect because they think they're under the protection of something. Maybe the reservation. Well, there's still other laws that will counteract that stuff too. So you better be careful is all I'm saying if that's what you're doing. Obstruction. Thank you, CZ. That's, yeah, obstruction of an investigation, so on and so forth. They can be charged with that, reservation or not. It is what it is. So there's that. Because of where the crime, if it is listed as a crime, took place at, wasn't on the reservation, it's treated in that sense. I do know that much. We were told that before. So that is, and then yes, harboring probably could be one of the charges. It depends on how it all works itself out. But what I'm hoping at this point, because I had a very bad feeling in my gut in the beginning about these kids that something was bad had happened to them. I don't know if I feel that way anymore. I almost feel kind of like they just might be okay. I hope that's true. I hope I'm right. I don't know, but that's the feeling I'm getting from this now. I don't really have that dark feeling in my gut anymore after seeing and hearing a lot of this other stuff. So I hope that's true. I do. Let's see. Hey, Demon. Good to see you, Demon. Stitches, what did you say? Did I miss it? Able to search? Yeah, I think they probably could. I'm not 100% sure, SD. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the laws on how that stuff works, but we may have to look into that just to see. That's probably what I was thinking too, Stitches, that they would have to have a search warrant and some other things. And being that the chief's, I think it was Alicia, would you say the chief's brother is their attorney? That's kind of interesting. Just saying. The RCMP they would ask the chief and elders for permission, but if they were denied, they would get the warrant. RCMP's federal. Yeah, that's what I kind of thought, but we'll see. That's if they're on a reservation within the province. That's true. They may not even be, you guys. They may not even be. Remember that. I think it's been taken into account because of what we heard in the beginning that that's a possibility, but they may not even be at all. Because we were also told that they took off to Ontario, and come to find out that's not true either. So who knows?
Bed, baby. That 3-hour late nap was not a great idea. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, yeah. So if there's not anything else, I'm going to try to get this little creature to go to bed. But
all right, so that's the end of it. Let me know what you think.
It's interesting. That's very interesting. I'll say that. And it gives a little more, it adds a little more possibility to what is going on as far as who knows for sure. Or, I mean, that didn't come out right. That's not what I was trying to say. It adds a little more stability to certain thoughts that we have had about what we think may be going on, possibly. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. Why I said the other way, I don't know. Sorry. Let's see. There have been some other creators that have been putting out some stuff that just don't make any sense. There are some that are putting out stuff that flows with what we already know. Hang on here a minute. Let me see stuff here. So it says, I was told in Canada, law enforcement officers, such as RCMP, can search an Indian reserve under specific circumstances, primarily related to the enforcement of federal and provincial laws, meaning like laws for that specific province. However, they do need a valid legal basis for the search, often a warrant, or may be authorized by common law or statute. The search must also respect the rights of Indigenous peoples, including their right to free, prior, and informed consent, particularly when it comes to lands with Aboriginal title. Thank you, Miss Alicia. Alicia's very good for finding answers to the questions that we leave here with sometimes. She does amazing with it. So thank you, Alicia, for digging into that. Appreciate that very much. We don't know, JC. We don't know if she did or she didn't. There was rumor in the beginning that she did, but we don't know. It's been stated that she did, that her mother was on the reservation, and that she went and she's staying with her there. It kind of comes off that way a little bit, JC. I think we have a little more insight into this than we had with Sebastian, but it does come off that way just a little bit. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I said that in the beginning. It's got some of the same feelers to it, you know? All right, guys, let's see what we got coming up here next. And like she just said, so basically, if they have good reason, they can get a warrant, search RCMP as a federal police. Yeah. And if that's what they think, they will. Now, here's the problem. If they don't think that there is the possibility of that happening, it's not there, they're not going to do it. Okay? It's not even a thought. I'm not saying that they haven't, because Major Case seems to do well. They're pretty decent, you know. I would think if they're looking at that situation as a possibility, then maybe. But Daniel did make a statement that he's never believed that Malaya had anything to do with them going missing. So if they went to him and said, hey, do you think she had anything to do with this? Did she say this, that? Or did she show this, that? And he says no. You know, an investigative unit's going to look into whatever they're going to look in. They're going to look in every angle, in my opinion. But they may not. Who knows? I don't know. All right, let's see here. I got a couple videos. I've been following this channel as well just to see what he comes out with, because there may be something new attached to it. We don't know. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I got like 3 of them that were put out back to back to back on this. So we'll just run. They're real quick too. So we'll run through them real fast, see what they say. If we get anything new with it. If not, it'll probably be the same stuff we've already seen. Mama Bear, hello. Thank you for joining us. Much appreciated, ma'am. And thank you for passing those along to me. All right, let's see what we got.
Missing siblings, Lily and Jack Sullivan, sit so close to my heart, having children around the same age. It's heartbreaking to think we have reached the 1-month mark with no answers or solid leads as to what happened to them. Something that strikes me as odd in this case is how many people cared enough to speak out and advocate for the children. Daniel's mother and brother stayed on the property, yet never cared to speak to the media once, to even give insight into what they heard or saw that morning. Apparently Daniel's mother was taking a nap.
We don't know what they have done. We haven't seen interviews with them with the media, but I'm guaranteeing you that they spoke with law enforcement. And it's their choice whether they're going to speak to media or not. Daniel was the one speaking and probably said, I have it, let me do it. That's just an opinion. Hey, Captain Jenks, good to see you, brother. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you're having a great day, bro. It's always good to see you here. So therefore, again, we just don't know. So take that with a grain of salt.
Where was the brother? The biological father never spoke out and has not seen or heard from the kids in months. His mother says that Malaya has been keeping the children away from them and won't even tell them where they stay. We never heard from a single teacher of the children, and we know they went to Salt Springs Elementary School. It was concerning how the school never even put out anything on their Facebook page to advocate for the missing siblings. All they shared was that they are supporting the children at the school with counselors and other resources as they navigate this difficult time as a community, but nothing about Jack and Lily until 2 days ago, when it became public knowledge that a prayer vigil was being held in the community for Jack and Lily. They shared this post, which reads, "We are grateful that the community continues to bring awareness to the search for Jack and Lily. We were asked to share this event with the school community should people wish to participate." They have turned off comments on this post. Some are saying that teachers are banned from speaking out publicly on sensitive matters like this. We've seen many times in the past teachers, neighbors, friends, speaking out in missing children cases. The silence in this case is alarming. Daniel was present at the prayer vigil, as well as the biological paternal grandmother. It was a beautiful vigil with candles and teddy bears.
But no Malaya, no Cindy. How about that? And I do agree that it was weird that the school didn't do anything. CZ, I have to go along with that for sure. That's a little weird, but just saying. All right, I got two more of these quick ones. 1 minute here. Hey, Tomboy. Yeah, JC, very much. Very true. Yeah, she's a very very pretty woman. JC, I agree. Every native person, anybody that even has a little bit of native in them, just have beautiful appearances, male and female, truly. But if you're ugly on the inside, it can make the outside ugly too. Remember that one. We just don't know.
Behavior of Jack and Lily's mother, Malaya Brooks Murray. The biggest thing for me is how she left the property that her kids allegedly vanished from, almost like she knew they were not coming back there anyway. It's so suspicious. Do I think Malaya's behavior is deceptive? Yes, I definitely do. Her actions are not that of an innocent parent who really wants their children found and brought back home. You don't look for things that are not lost, as they put it. She never searched, pleaded with the so-called abductors, since she believes the children were taken. Make that make sense? As the days go by, even more red flags emerge. She reopened her Facebook page, but that decision had nothing to do with advocating for her children. It was to change her relationship status to single, add Facebook friends, and remove all the photos of Daniel. Some even mentioned it feels like she is trying to throw him under the bus when the truth comes out. Yesterday a candlelight vigil was held on the 1-month mark of the children's disappearance. It was so beautiful and so many community members came out to pray and light candles for the children. Daniel was there, as well as the biological paternal grandmothers. They were there, regardless of any hate or blame from the public. Daniel said people stare at him when he goes out, but regardless of that, he still speaks out and attends the vigil. The mother, on the other hand, was a complete no-show at the vigil. Many are saying that her not showing up to the vigil is so telling.
What?
What can I do?
A rainbow, my favorite.
Somebody got... When the air's enough, they say when it's enough hot air, there we go. Yeah. Good job. That one's gonna rip, so we gotta. You got the other one?
There we go. There she's away now. Up, lift, lift. There There it's going. There it's on. There.
That's true. They weren't missing at 6 a.m., but that is a weird situation if you think about it. She called the kids off of school at 6 or 6:30 in the morning. Then the last time they were heard from was around 8 a.m. Then they call at 9:40, 911. All of this happened in that period of time in that same vicinity, and nobody has a clue what happened. There's something wrong with this whole thing. That is so strange to me. Blows my mind. Were the kids there at 6 or 6:30 that morning when she called in sick? One of the things that we don't know yet for sure is if they came home Thursday night from when they were out in public. That's one other thing that I have not been able to verify. I'm not saying they didn't, guys. It's just we're trying to cover every little aspect of this, okay? So, but she called them off 6 or 6:30 in the morning from going to school because they were still sick, supposedly. It's just weird. It's all weird. The whole conglomeration of everything mixed together is just strange to me. So they were there at 6 a.m., 6 or 6:30. Were they? We don't know for a fact. Did something happen in the middle of the night? Maybe Daniel didn't know this because he was sleeping through this. Who knows? I don't know. It's hard to grasp this. I could see her getting up, deciding that Lily wasn't well enough to go back to school, calling them off, and then going back to bed. Yeah, of course. It's still weird, the timing, how all this just happened, which I just don't know what to think. That's my biggest issue with this. I just don't know what to think.
Don't hit the wire. It's going!
Oh! That's going the same direction. Yeah.
Oh, don't hit the tree.
I hope at this point that they did, SRB. I hope they did. Like I said, we just don't have verification truly, but I imagine otherwise it would have been something would have been pointed out, I think. Perhaps she thought they went back to sleep, so it was safe for her to sleep, but then they got, yeah, that's a good point too, possibly. That's what I was thinking too when I said that, is that Daniel did claim to have seen Lily that morning. So that's the only thing that makes that kind of verifies that, I guess you could say. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. One moment, just trying to get something to load. Sorry. Welcome, Jeremiah. Good to see you. Oh, really? Whereabouts? I know you're in that area there, Jeremiah. Like what whereabouts? That's interesting, Noni. Definitely. And Jeremiah, thank you for that info. 10 minutes from there. Okay. Gotcha, Jeremiah. Thank you. All right, we're gonna check this out. I know you guys, well, I most of the time don't care for him either. I'm just curious to see everybody's insights into these things and if anybody has anything new to add. So bear with this, won't be very long here.
Came for me for everything, never Malaya. She had no control over the kids, they were wild with her, and with me, listened and were well behaved. I promised myself I'd always be there for Malaya and the kids, and I am holding that promise. I only wish I could tell you fine details surrounding Malaya and her family and the disappearance. I'll let you know that Malaya was set to stay with me and the baby to leave with my cousin, but 5 minutes with her mother. Malaya changed. She couldn't even look at me.
That's supposedly a Facebook message from the quote-unquote stepfather of 2 missing Nova Scotian children, and in my opinion, it's clearly a hoax. So today, let's watch YouTuber Evil.
This guy don't want to believe anything that has anything positive to do with Daniel, so you have to forgive that part of him.
Exists video about it, and I'll show you why. And for the record, I'm reacting to his video because the original uploader, Crime and Shame, took hers down after I asked for proof. I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation, so if that's your thing, hit subscribe. For early access and other perks, join the channel, link in description. If the names Lily and Jack don't ring a bell, don't worry because this video applies to any easy to debunk true crime hoax. For instance, a closely cropped, blurry Facebook message screenshot.
He's beyond biased, you guys. He really is.
So there's just one last thing I want to say before we grab our deception decks and start debunking. It's a Crime and Shame originally posted these messages, but I still can't say for sure that she's the one who wrote them. It's still possible that she gullibly fell for some third-party hoax and is just too embarrassed to admit it, or unscrupulously didn't do any due diligence because she wanted something to report about. So I almost didn't make this video until I learned that she was actually behind another set of sketchy screenshots that I debunked in an earlier video. So here's a quick clip from that, and as you'll see, both sets of messages have the same red flags. In fact, they even seem to have the same typos and other signs of masking, even though they're purportedly from different authors.
Someone told me about this post in my live stream yesterday, I did on his channel, about Lily and Jack. After the live stream, I went to look for it, and yeah, it's pretty shocking, actually.
That's YouTuber Michelle After Dark apparently breaking a scoop about the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan from Nova Scotia. The only problem is, I don't think it's real, because that's as much of this alleged Facebook post as we see in Michelle's video. And that's a problem because there's literally no reason for it to be cropped so tight. We can't see when it was posted, the URL, who liked it, or any sort of context. And even when Michelle said earlier that this post was brought up on her live stream, she didn't say that she found the actual post itself. She just said that she looked for it and that it was shocking. In other words, she may have also only seen these 2 unverified, uncorroborated, contextless screenshots. And without a link to the original post, we don't even know if the face next to the post is actually the person who posted it. I'll link Michelle's channel below, and hopefully she can provide me with the link to that Facebook post, and I will have made this video in vain. Unsurprisingly, I'm still waiting for the link to that Facebook post. Even less surprisingly, I'm still waiting for Crime and Shame to show me these messages from Daniel in her browser, rather than a bizarre screenshot. If she is actually the victim of a third-party hoax, she should be asking for those things herself before she runs with them all over YouTube. All right, without further ado, let's watch.
Before I get into this video, I want to give credit to a channel called It's a Crime and Shame, who will be linked below. She has been doing great work covering this case, and had a conversation with Daniel. The texts were put out on her channel, but has since been removed because of the hate Malaya started getting online, and people twisting the texts to suit their own narrative. As many of you know, I share everything in a case, and at this point, the texts have made its way all over social media, from Facebook groups to TikTok. It's everywhere. I'm going to share them. Some of the things that Daniel had to say are definitely interesting, but like everything that comes from an online source, let's take it with a grain of salt. This text reads, Lily and Jack called me dad, they came for me for everything, never Malaya. She had no control over the kids, they were wild with her, and with me, listened and were well behaved. I promised myself I'd always be there for Malaya and the kids, and I am holding.
Welcome back to the sauce, Miss Brandy. Congratulations. Great to have you back. I hope you're being safe out there.
Holding that promise.
Before we get too deep, I just want to make 2 things clear. First, Evil Exists covered his bases by giving that disclosure. He can't personally confirm where these messages came from. And for me, that's good enough disclosure. Second, I don't think it's a coincidence that Criming Shame took down her live stream where she originally presented these supposed messages from Daniel after she found out that my subscribers and I were watching her and we were skeptical. Remember, the hallmark of a
That's not why she took it down. She took it down because Daniel contacted her and said that after that stuff was put out, that Malaya was getting a bunch of hate, and he didn't want that because he still cares about her, so on and so forth. In turn, that's why she took it. They took it down over there. It wasn't because he was watching it, guys. Just understand that.
a hoaxer is reticence. They only want to show as much as they have to get away with their hoax. She could easily make me look like a fool by opening up her Facebook, opening up these messages with Daniel, and showing them on her live stream. But she won't do that. Instead, she's just presenting these carefully cropped and curated screenshots. Coincidentally, that's the same problem I have with Daniel Martel himself with his polygraph. He could easily prove me wrong for saying that I don't think he passed it by showing the results, but he won't do that. In other words, one iota of skepticism goes a long way in weeding out misinformation. All right, let's keep watching.
I only wish I could tell you fine details surrounding Malaya and her family and the disappearance. I'll let you know that Malaya was set to stay with me and the baby to leave with my cousin, but 5 minutes with her mother. Malaya changed. She couldn't even look at me. He also added that Malaya is not doing media. She has a lawyer that is the chief's brother from the reserve she belongs to. In another interesting message, we hear about Daniel's mother, and I think this text raised my red flags the highest. It reads, "My mom was napping and came outside because she..."
Okay, guys, here's the thing. Okay. If this was all a hoax, I can almost guarantee that Daniel would have came forth already and said, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. I didn't say that. So that's kind of ridiculous, okay? If you think about it.
She heard me yelling that morning for the kids. Malaya was playing on her phone. Mom came out and said Malaya had a look of worry in her eyes that mom was home. No tears, she wasn't scared the kids were gone. Just a look of worry that she got caught for something wrong. I am going to leave these texts here, for you guys to make of it what you will.
On your screen now is the Spotting Hoaxes card from my deception deck, my 52 favorite rules for spotting lies and manipulation. You can see all 4 questions you should ask to sort of assess if something is a hoax or not. I'm just going to read you the one about reticence. Are they reluctant to present their evidence? If they are, you need to be skeptical. In this case, we don't have anyone presenting the original posts that these screenshots came from, and that's a problem. Moreover, the content of the messages themselves have signs of masking, or signs that the author is trying to hide their identity. I won't point out all the clues because I want to be able to spot more hoaxes like this, but I'll just point out one for now. When someone's trying to mask their authorship of a message, they often do way too many typos than a normal person would. And we saw a ton of typos in that Daniel Martel message. We also saw bunches of exclamation marks, which is actually something that It's a Criming Shame does in her posts. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Who knows? Let's keep watching.
I'm going to leave these texts here, for you guys to make of it what you will. For me, there are many red flags. I would love to hear from Daniel's mother directly, but she has never spoken out to the media, which I also find strange. When Malaya noticed the kids were missing, she allegedly asked Daniel if she should call the police, which is a major contradiction of the account she gave in her interview, saying that she called police right away, and it was based on her instinct that they were missing. Daniel also said the kids would go outside mostly with him, because Malaya rarely went out with them. He loves Malaya more than anything, and wants to relive their first date over waterfalls with the Daniel she first met.
That's the end of the video, and that's all the messages. So now let's see if anyone proves me wrong. Or was everyone who shared these messages without a disclaimer either too gullible, unscrupulous, or involved to call it out themselves? Check the end card from my Lily.
He's really starting to get really ridiculous with these now, you guys. It's kind of a damn shame. Really a damn shame. All right, let me see here. He claims that he's an attorney, Fizzy, that specializes in project. I don't know what the hell he is. I'll be honest with you. I'm just stating what he said. Let me see here. Let me throw up. This is a CTV news break on this. We don't get many. Hang on. From 18 hours ago. Excuse me. Okay. That's interesting, Jeremiah. Very interesting. Thank you for that info. I'm going to look something up on that. See if I can find.
There's another physical search for the missing Sullivan siblings in Lansdowne Station over the weekend. 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack have been missing for a month now.
Supposed to be there to actually run people up and down the pipelines.
Ground search and rescue volunteers once again backcombing the dense forest and expanding beyond the initial search zone. Search manager Amy Hansen says about 75 volunteers were in the woods on Saturday in an area where a boot print was located in an earlier search. Hansen says the conditions are challenging.
No, they were extending into newer areas that haven't been searched and finishing off and cleaning up some areas. The boot print was on the pipeline, which is why we're extending our search efforts down the pipeline. We don't know for sure it was from the children, but it's the only real thing we've had to go on thus far, so we're just kind of investigating that further. These people have been out weekend after weekend and day after day putting themselves through this. The families are understanding and letting them come out, and we're actually starting to see some people that just physically and emotionally can't return to the search at this point.
RCMP say the investigation remains active and they urge anyone with information on the children's whereabouts to bring it forward.
All right, let me check something here. All right. Give me a minute here. Give me 1 minute. Okay. 1 second. I just think I might have. Give me 1 minute here. um 1 minute here. I can't find anything on that, Jeremiah. I was looking up. Not saying you're wrong. I was looking to see if I could find anything, and I can't. Okay. Well, I guess that's going to be it on that so far. It's interesting, though, the things that we've seen. I'll have to see if we can come up with anything on that, Jeremiah. I appreciate the input, though. For sure, for sure. All right, so guess we're gonna move forward a little bit here. Wait a minute, what's this? Hold on. Oh, I'm just ignoring them. Don't worry about it. No big deal. Somebody sent this to me, so I will run this for you guys real quick too.
Before search efforts were scaled back on May 7th. Additional searches took place on May 8th, May 9th, May 17th, and May 18th. Any future searches will be determined based on the course of the investigation. RCMP officers from various teams are fully engaged in finding out what happened to Jack and Lily. We're using all tools and resources to determine the circumstances of their disappearance. I'm going to just repeat that section. RCMP officers from various teams are fully engaged in finding out what happened to Jack and Lily. We are using all tools and resources to determine the circumstances of their disappearance. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Jack and Lily or who has video footage to share with police is asked to call the Northeast Nova Major Crimes Unit. To remain anonymous, you can also contact Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers. Is there anyone here who would like that done in French?
What began as a frantic search is now a silence too loud to ignore. On May 2nd, 2025, in the rural community of Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, siblings Lily and Jack Sullivan, aged 6 and 4, vanished without a trace. Despite an extensive search involving over 160 personnel, helicopters, drones, and search dogs covering 5.5 square kilometers of dense woodland, no sign of the children was found. Authorities initially suggested the children may have wandered away, citing a lack of evidence for abduction, and thus did not issue an Amber Alert.
We're transitioning from a full-scale search to searches of more specific spaces. Spaces have already been searched by our teams. We're not packing up, and we're not giving up. Our investigation is broad, and it won't end until we know where Lily and Jack are and can bring them home.
However, as weeks passed without new information, public concern grew over the apparent silence and lack of updates from law enforcement. This situation raises pressing questions. Is the silence a clue or a cover? To stay informed on this developing story and others like it, subscribe to our channel. Share this video to raise awareness, and comment below with the name of your city to show support for missing children everywhere. Let's ensure their story is not forgotten. On the morning of May 2nd, 2025, in the quiet rural community of Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, a distressing call was made to emergency services. Two young siblings, Lily Sullivan, aged 6, and her 4-year-old brother, Jack, had vanished from their home on Gairloch Road. Their stepfather, Daniel Martel, reported that the children were last seen at home that morning. He described a frantic search, stating, "I was ahead of the helicopters, ahead of the drones, screaming loud as I can, until my throat hurt, running through water that was up to my waist." The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, initially believed that the siblings had wandered away from their home. However, there was no evidence to support an abduction, and thus, an Amber Alert was not issued. The community's response was immediate and heartfelt. Over 160 trained volunteers, along with search dogs, helicopters, and drones, scoured the surrounding areas. Despite these extensive efforts, no trace of Lily and Jack was found. The search was scaled back on May 7th, with authorities acknowledging the diminishing likelihood of finding the children alive. Adding to the complexity, it was later confirmed that Lily and Jack were seen in public with family members on the afternoon of May 1st, the day before they were reported missing. This information led investigators to request any dashcam footage from the area between April 28th and May 2nd. The silence from authorities and the lack of new information have left the community in a state of uncertainty and concern. As the search continues, questions remain. Is the silence a clue or a cover? If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan, please contact the RCMP. Your assistance could be crucial in bringing these children home. On May 28th, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, provided a significant update. Lily and Jack Sullivan were confirmed to have been seen in public with family members on May 1st, a full day later than initially reported. This revelation introduced a critical 2-day discrepancy in the timeline of their disappearance. The language used by the RCMP in this update was notably cautious. Phrases such as "based on details gathered so far" and "were observed in public" suggest a deliberate effort to avoid definitive statements. This linguistic hedging may reflect the complexities of the investigation and the challenges in establishing a precise timeline. The implications of this revised timeline are profound. A 2-day gap in the children's whereabouts complicates the search efforts and raises questions about the initial assumptions of the case. It underscores the importance of accurate and timely information in missing persons investigations and highlights the difficulties authorities face in rapidly evolving situations. As the investigation continues, the community remains hopeful for answers, and the RCMP urges anyone with information to come forward. In the realm of public communication, the words chosen by authorities are seldom accidental. They are meticulously selected, often serving dual purposes: to inform and to protect. In the case of Lily and Jack Sullivan's disappearance, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, have employed language that, upon closer examination, reveals a cautious and calculated approach. Consider the distinction between confirmed and observed. The RCMP stated that the children were observed in public with family members on May 1st, a day before.
The fact that they didn't give what family members they were seen with that Thursday, I'm curious as to who the family is. I'm real curious. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'd be curious to know if it was Malaya's mom, if they were seen with her that Thursday afternoon. And if that's the case, why was she there, living so far away? And does Daniel know that? That's the thing I'm wondering now. Because they won't give the names of who. They didn't say Daniel Malaya. They said family. That's interesting to me. Okay, and they won't put out the name of who. That's something I've been kind of stuck on here for a little while, because it seems like they're purposely holding back who. Okay, they didn't say mother, father, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, whatever. They just said family. That could be anybody, guys, and I'm real curious about that right now.
Their reported disappearance. This phrasing stops short of a definitive confirmation, suggesting a reliance on surveillance footage or third-party accounts without committing to an absolute assertion. The use of passive voice further distances the agency from direct responsibility. Phrases like "were observed" omit the subject performing the action, thereby creating a veil of ambiguity. This linguistic choice can obscure accountability and make it challenging for the public to ascertain who witnessed the children and under what circumstances. Moreover, the strategic vagueness in statements, such as not specifying which family members were present or the exact location of the sighting, limits the public's ability to piece together a coherent narrative. By withholding these details, authorities maintain control over the flow of information, which can be both a protective measure for the investigation and a source of public frustration. This pattern of communication is not unique to this case. In the disappearance of Lisa Marie Young, the RCMP faced criticism for their lack of transparency and the perceived withholding of information from the family. Such instances highlight a broader issue where institutional language serves more to shield the agency than to enlighten the public. The implications of these rhetorical choices are profound. They shape public perception, influence media narratives, and can either build or erode trust in law enforcement. In cases involving indigenous communities, like that of the Sullivan siblings, this trust is already fragile due to historical and systemic factors. Thus, the language used by authorities doesn't merely convey information, it also communicates priorities, biases, and the degree of urgency assigned to a case. As we continue to follow this unfolding story, it's imperative to remain vigilant about the language employed by those in power. Words matter, and in the search for truth and justice, clarity should never be a casualty. As the days stretch into weeks, the silence from official channels becomes deafening. In this void, the community's voice emerges, embodied by Robert Parker, the warden of Pictou County. Parker, a figure of both authority and empathy, articulates the collective anguish of a community in limbo. He observes, what they really want now is answers. They need answers, and maybe we won't get them for a long time. I don't know. His words reflect a shift from initial hope to a pressing demand for clarity. Parker warns of the dangers of speculation filling the information void. What happens when people want answers and they're not getting them is they start making up their own answers. In his dual role, Parker serves as both a diplomatic spokesperson and an emotional conduit, channeling the community's frustration and quiet skepticism. He notes the emotional toll on residents, stating, "It's a very emotional issue when it involves our little ones." Through Parker's voice, the community's plea is clear. The need for transparency, accountability, and above all, answers. In the immediate aftermath of Lily and Jack Sullivan's disappearance on May 2nd, 2025, a massive search operation was launched in the dense forest surrounding Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia. Over 160 trained volunteers, along with police officers, canine units, drones, and helicopters, scoured the area in hopes of finding the siblings. By May 7th, after days of exhaustive efforts, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, announced that the search was being scaled back. This terminology, rather than stating the search was called off, suggested a transition to more targeted efforts, focusing on specific areas rather than broad sweeps. Subsequent search operations included underwater recovery efforts on May 8th and 9th, where bodies of water around Lansdowne Station were examined. Despite these efforts, no evidence was uncovered. The terrain posed significant challenges. The forests, still recovering from the devastation of Hurricane Fiona in 2022, were filled with downed trees and thick underbrush, making navigation difficult. Additionally, searchers contended with swarms of black flies and other environmental hazards, further complicating the operation. The emotional toll on the community has been profound. As days turned into weeks without answers, hope began to wane, replaced by grief and a desperate need for closure. The psychological exhaustion is palpable, with residents grappling with the uncertainty and the haunting question, what happened to Lily and Jack? As the days turned into weeks following the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan, the investigation reached a troubling standstill. No new evidence emerged. No suspects were identified. No credible sightings were reported. The initial flurry of activity gave way to a haunting quiet. On May 28th, nearly 4 weeks after the children vanished, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, issued a public appeal for additional video footage. They requested dashcam or surveillance recordings from the Lansdowne Station and Gairloch Road area, captured between April 28th and May 2nd. This request, coming weeks after the disappearance, raised questions about the timing and the thoroughness of the initial investigation. The language used by authorities in their communications became increasingly cautious. Phrases like "based on details gathered so far" and "were observed in public" suggested a reluctance to commit to definitive statements. This strategic vagueness fueled public suspicion. Was information being withheld? Is foul play suspected but unspoken? The shift from a rescue operation to a recovery mission, and possibly to a resolution without closure, became evident. The initial hope of finding the children alive diminished as time passed without answers. The community grappled with the emotional toll of uncertainty, and the silence from authorities became a source of frustration and grief. As the investigation continues, the public remains vigilant, seeking transparency and accountability. The unanswered questions surrounding Lilly and Jack Sullivan's disappearance linger, casting a long shadow over Lansdowne Station. As the investigation into the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan stretches into its 5th week, the silence from authorities becomes increasingly pronounced. Notably, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, have refrained from labeling the case as an abduction, stating instead that there is no evidence to suggest foul play, yet they have not ruled out that the disappearance is suspicious. The absence of identified suspects further deepens the mystery. Despite extensive search efforts and numerous interviews, the RCMP have not disclosed any persons of interest. This lack of information has led to growing public speculation and concern. Adding to the community's unease is the absence of emotional appeals from the family in the public domain. Reports indicate that police advised the family against speaking to the media, a strategy that, while potentially aimed at preserving the integrity of the investigation, has left a void in the public narrative. This strategic silence raises critical questions. Is the withholding of information a tactic to protect the investigation, or does it serve to deflect scrutiny? The lack of transparency can erode public trust, especially in cases involving vulnerable populations. The shift from a rescue mission to a recovery operation, and now to a phase seeking resolution without closure, underscores the emotional toll on the community. The unanswered questions and the silence from authorities leave a lingering sense of unease, as the search for truth continues amidst the echoes of what remains unsaid. 2 children, 2 young lives vanished without a trace. A province gripped by grief, hope slowly fading into uncertainty. Robert Parker, warden of Pictou County, reminds us all, they belong to all of us. Not just a family's loss, but a community's heartbreak. In this case, what's missing isn't just Lilly and Jack, it's the answers.
And that's it. And I gotta be honest with you guys. I've been worried, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 pictures I've seen with these kids involving like wild animals, snakes and wolves, and you got to wonder, did the kids go outside? And I wondered from the beginning if something bad happened accidentally, that if these kids were out playing in the yard, shouldn't have been, and got popped by a snake or something, or something grabbed them. But then again, if a predatory animal would have grabbed them and taken them away, we'd have found something, I think, of theirs. Now, if something else happened and they got bit by something that caused, death possibly, was there a cover up on that? I don't know. I don't. But these are just other options that were in the back of my mind during this. But as these other things are coming forth, it's bringing up other issues in my mind. So just saying. All right, guys, on we go. Next segment. Now, there's another channel that's out that we found not too long ago. Some of us have been following now, too. It's called The Devil's Advocate. Devil's Advocates, I'm sorry. And they've been putting some stuff out. I told you guys there was something we might look at on Idaho. And I feel like we can run over this real quick. It's pretty interesting. They put out a video called The Theories of the IDAHO4 Case That Are Most Likely True, the Alternative Suspects List. And it's kind of an interesting video he put out yesterday. There is a link to the channel if you guys want to go check it out. You'll make your decision on what you think of this channel as we go through this. You don't have to like it just because we're playing it here. Speaking of, neither do I, but I just thought it was an interesting piece of information. But they would find, that's exactly what I was saying, Cat Lady, exactly. Animals leave a lot of debris. Yes, Cap, 100%. 100%. So that's why I haven't, I thought very early on about predatory animals. Yes, then, but at the same time, there's nothing been found. Now, snake bite, possibly. Sure. Okay. And was that covered up because they weren't being washed when it happened? Possibly. I don't know, guys. These are things that have been thrown at me too. So I'm just giving you some angles to think on. I don't think that has anything to do with it. But we did see some videos and pictures of them where there's snakes close and a wolf in one, and it's like, what's going on? You know what I mean? So I'm just saying. Other theories and thoughts to think about. So we're gonna jump into this video here real quick. It's not too long, and then we'll bounce on through. We're doing again. The channel's called the Devil's Advocates, and they're putting out some theories that are most likely true based on what he believes, based on the alternative suspects list. So let's see what we got.
What do you personally think happened in the Idaho 4 case, and where does your idea or your theory land on my list of probability? Let's count down 22 things that I've heard about the Idaho 4 case and where your favorite theory lands on my list of likelihood, starting with the least likely of the ones I'm considering, number 22. This is the idea that the government has basically fabricated the entire thing to make people afraid and control the masses. It's like that. There are many ways to spin the PSYOP idea, but the PSYOP idea basically is to say that nothing really happened. The entire thing is designed to make people fearful for one reason or another. And while I believe in things like MK Ultra and government experiments and all these kinds of things, and that it is possibility, I would put it at the list on my mind of the least likely of all the scenarios. Number 21, witness protection. This is the idea some people have that no one actually died in the house, that everyone is in witness protection, or that several of them are in witness protection. In other words, Kaylee, Gonzalez, and Maddie are somewhere out there on a beach somewhere having a good time with new identities because they're in witness protection, and the entire thing was designed as a false front to make people believe that they are dead. Now, I will say again, this is a possibility and made my list of possible scenarios, but not likely in my opinion. I think it's just a bit too much of an overreach, and I think when you have any kind of scenario where somebody's death has been faked and they're in witness protection, it wouldn't be this elaborate of a story. Personal opinion. The occult ritual comes in at number 20. This is the idea that there are basically symbolic elements to what happened in the Idaho 4, that it was that the house was some kind of altar, that the way that things were conducted all has symbolic meaning to some satanic or occult ritual. And again, while I have lots of information and lots of knowledge about the occult in my past and entertain those kind of ideas, I don't think that's what happened here. In fact, I think a lot of people give the occult a bad rap and think that everybody who's into the occult is all a bunch of devil worshippers, do elaborate ceremonies. And I don't think that's the case here. But again, it is interesting and I do pay attention to it, but I would list it at number 20 on my list. Number 19 comes in with the idea that Bryan Kohberger is some kind of government asset or FBI asset. The idea being here is that as a brilliant criminologist, the FBI had recruited him and were using him, and then maybe something went wrong or something to that effect. That basically the idea is that Bryan Kohberger actually worked with the FBI and either did the thing under the FBI's direction, which is least likely of mine of the two of these theories, or that he was a government asset that did something that surprised them and now they're trying to distance themselves from Bryan Kohberger. The idea that Bryan Kohberger was involved somehow with the FBI, that's why the FBI knew about him, has some weight in the sense that the FBI did seem to know about Kohberger when Moscow Police Department didn't, and the question becomes, how did they know about Bryan Kohberger? And we do know he was a brilliant criminology student, but I still would put it on one of the least likely scenarios in my opinion. Number 18 comes in with the Bryan Kohberger drug buy idea. This is the idea that Bryan Kohberger was into drugs and that somehow that house was a drug house and that Bryan Kohberger was going there to buy drugs that night or something to that effect. The reason why I don't put a lot of weight on this is I personally feel that a lot of people are basing the whole drug concept on the fact that Bryan Kohberger once had a drug addiction as a teenager with a drug that is much different than the drug that many people are saying that he was addicted to or buying at that house. So while there are theories and there are lots of support for the idea that there was drugs in that house and that there were people involved in the murders that had connections with drugs, so all of that has some weight to it, but I personally personally, just giving my opinion, don't think Brian Koberger was a user. I don't think it's consistent with the grades that he got at DeSales, making him a PhD candidate, one of only 2 people recommended for the PhD candidacy, and all indications are is that Brian Koberger was an exceptional student. So I just don't believe that he's a drug user, messing up his life with drugs still, and an exceptional student getting into being one of the top 2 candidates at the PhD courses in WSU. So that's why I rule that one out. Coming in at number 17 is the idea of a crypto bank crash of some kind. Steve Goncalves, or Gonçalves as some people call it. Again, I think Portuguese pronounces Goncalves, but everybody else seems to call it Gonçalves, and so everybody busts my nuts no matter how I say it. So Steve G, whether or not he was involved in Hex, which is a kind of a speculative coin, many people think, lost a ton of money. That rumor's out there in the wind, and that somehow because Steve Gonçalves, or Goncalves, lost so much money that somebody was killing his daughter for payback because he lost somebody a butt ton of money. Again, I'm currently putting this on the back burner. I think it's a lower probability, but I'm still keeping my eye on it. So I'm willing to examine it, but it doesn't make my list very high. It still comes in at number 17. At number 16 is the idea of money for the universities, right? So this is the idea that both of the universities, Pullman and Idaho, benefited financially from these murders. WSU had a grant, for example, in this scenario, to study outside of the classroom, examples of true crime. Basically, how do crimes get committed in a non-classroom environment? They got money for funding of that kind of nature. I'm kind of slaughtering the story. Then Idaho also got money to basically help with dealing with a crime of a serious nature, and got money and funding for helping people with those resources. So did this too, and again, this is a slaughter of those things. I didn't do well on it, but the idea is that did both universities, Pullman, WSU, Pullman, and Moscow, Idaho, the University of Idaho, get money from this event? And did WSU receive money to study an event like this, and Idaho money for how to deal with an event like this? And was this all just a cash cow of some kind designed to bring money into the universities? It is a possibility. I always say follow the money, but I'm going to only put this one in at number 16 on my list. Number 15 on the list is the obsessed police officer. This is the idea that I heard out there many times, that there was an officer who was obsessed with Kaylee Gonçalves, or Goncalves. We've covered that before. Was it Rosenthal? Was Rosie obsessed with Kaylee? Was Brett Payne, the lead investigator or detective or whatever you want to call him on the IDAHO4 case from the Moscow Police Department, obsessed with Kaylee? There are several rumors going around that an officer was obsessed with Kaylee, and there's all kinds of little things out there. I think that it is possible, more possible some of the other ones that I've listed, that an officer who is interested in Kaylee might be involved in this case in a mysterious or nefarious way. Now, I tend to not feel that the murders were caused because of that, but I think that the conspiracy or a cover-up or whatever could be further complicated by an officer who has an interest in Kaylee, and therefore is clouding their judgment or making them do things inappropriate in this case. So it's certainly a higher list on my idea, coming in at number 15, but still not super probable in my opinion, but I'm keeping my eyes open and I look into it on a regular basis just in case something flags my attention. Coming in at number 14 is the idea of a fight club. This is the idea that at the grub truck, many people were seen pulling out phones at a certain point and looking as if they were watching some fight. There's an idea that I don't know who put it out there. Maybe it came from Metal Mayhem. Maybe it came from other people. Maybe he picked up on it afterwards. I certainly seen him talk about it, that there was a fight club going around the campuses where students would get involved in fights and they would televise or air those fights for people to stream and pay for. Maybe people were buying $6 donations to watch the fight that night, and there was a fight with Ethan that got out of hand, maybe, and then Xana got involved because her boyfriend was getting his ass kicked, and it turned into a murder scene. I think that to me is interesting, and I think that it has some weight. It comes in much higher on my list than others, but I still don't think it's highly probable. For many reasons, but I just wanted to let you know where it sits on my list. It comes in at number 14 on my list as a possibility, but not high on my list. Coming in at number 13 is the Greek row hazing / fights / insults among different fraternities. This is a little higher on my list. There seems to be a lot of indication that the frats had some infighting going on, that certain members that were in the house may have insulted other members of another sorority or fraternity. Could that lead to somebody getting so pissed off that they would kill members of this house? And then is there some kind of like camaraderie in the Greek system in which that people will just kind of do the, we don't talk about this, we don't rat on our brothers in the fraternity? Yes, that is a possibility in my opinion. It's one that I kind of keep on the back burner, but it doesn't come in super high on my list. The Greek row fights between fraternities or sororities comes in at number 13 on my list. It's something I'm watching, higher probability than some of the others for me, but still not super high on the list. Number 12 on my list is the whole incel who hates women. So this is the idea that Bryan Kohberger actually did it, and the reason that he did it is he's an incel. He can't get laid, he can't get women. They rebuff his advances, and so therefore he is a misogynist who hates women because he can't have them. And I put this pretty low on the list because I think, again, indicators are that while Bryan Kohberger might be a little socially awkward, he was able to pick up women's phone numbers at a party when he first got into town. He had a student that supposedly, according to Deadline, was interested in him romantically and actually went and stayed the night at his house when she thought her house was broken into. There are all indications from other people that Bryan Kohberger was very social and that people that he was kind of a player in some regards. And so I just can't buy that those two things go hand in hand, that he's horribly socially awkward and bad with women, but he's going to parties and he's making friends on campus and he's getting girls' phone numbers and all these things, and yet he's horrible with women and therefore hates women, all because of some idea that some girls didn't like the way he graded their paper. I think this is a little less likely, so I'm putting it down the list because it's possible that is part motivated in this, and that Bryan Kohberger could have been some kind of misogynist who had a thing out for women. That's possible. It comes in at number 12 on my list. Number 11 on my list is the idea that there's something confusing or mysterious about the delivery driver who delivered food allegedly at 4 o'clock in the morning-ish. Eric Gower, or however you pronounce his name. Again, every single time I pronounce someone's name, somebody tells me how I'm pronouncing it wrong. This driver of food from whatever delivery service it was and for whatever place it came from is something we have to pay attention to in my mind. The timing of the events happening around 4 o'clock in the morning, according to the official sources, and this person showing up at 4 o'clock in the morning are extremely important to pay attention to. What cars were coming and going at 4 o'clock in the morning? According to the official story, the white Elantra was circling the house at 3-ish in the morning, and the driver shows up at 4 in the morning, and then the killer shows up shortly after that at 4:07 in the morning. So now you've got a driver delivering food in between the middle of supposedly somebody stalking the house and getting ready to kill. So again, we have to pay attention to that driver and how it fits into this case. Was there a killer who was waiting for the driver to go away? Did he just purely get lucky the driver came and go? Or is the driver somehow involved? Did the girls text the driver and ask him if he was delivering things, if he was on his route? There's a lot of questions about this driver, and did the driver work for the police department? All these questions I think have something to pay attention to. So I would say I would put my list of let's pay attention to this one about the driver of that food delivery and whether or not he made a contactless delivery and just left food on the porch, or whether he actually handed food off to Xana Kernodle in the house. All of those are questions, and it's still higher on my list now of let's pay attention to that driver. Number 10 on my list is the drug cartel drug hit idea. This is the idea that a couple of members of the House were daughters of people who may have turned against a crime syndicate, a cartel, something to that effect, and put people in jail to get lesser sentences for themselves. We do know that Ann Taylor represented a couple of different family members related to the victims in the house and on drug charges. And so the idea that these drug charges, and there's evidence that people got put away due to testimony on these family members. So again, you're starting to get into the area of much more interesting and probable scenarios here, in my opinion, about whether or not somebody got pissed off that somebody got sent to jail and then they sent a message about snitches get stitches, or they just get dead. But the problem I have with this theory is multiple. One, I think that if it was a cartel hit, blaming it on some random college guy instead of making it clear it was a drug hit by a cartel doesn't send the message that you want to do. If you're trying to send a message, you would want them to know that somebody got taken out for snitching,
Agreed.
not blaming it on a random college student. So I think it's got meat to it because, again, if people are turning state's evidence and putting people behind bars, would somebody want retaliation for that? Absolutely. However, we'd have to ask ourselves the question, why didn't they just go after the people who actually snitched and killed them? Why kill their children instead? Now, again, I know your argument is it hurts more if you kill your children. But the only reason I think that you would kill the children instead of the people who actually snitched is if you still need the people that snitched. And so you want to teach them a lesson and keep them under your control. Hey, do this and we'll do it again. Or we'll do it to somebody else that you love. But I don't understand why not just take out the people who snitched. And putting it pretty high on the list, though, it comes in at number 10. We're officially in the top 10 with the drug hit cartel scenario. Number 9 is the concept of whether or not there's police corruption or FBI corruption cover-up in this case. I think this is fairly highly likely. We see all kinds of manipulation in the PCA, and now it comes out later under a testimony where they admitted that they wrote things into the PCA that they didn't originally know so that they could get Bryan Kohberger after they'd been given Bryan Kohberger's name. There's a lot of shenanigans going on. Once they decided that Kohberger was their guy, there is evidence that the police continued to manipulate the evidence to make it fit Bryan Kohberger once the FBI had told them it was Bryan Kohberger. How they developed the DNA profile is highly suspicious. The knife sheath and how it got into the scene is highly suspicious. There's a lot of things that make me think that the law enforcement in this case are desperate to have this case solved and to have it be Bryan Kohberger, and that shenanigans are very likely, in my opinion, are going on where they're trying to cover things up. So that makes my list of in the top 10 at number 9 the likelihood that there's police corruption and cover-up, maybe even higher, to be honest with you. I think it's almost a foregone conclusion that there's some cover-up, but whether or not it's a major piece and Bryan Kohberger didn't do it and they're just framing some guy, something like that, I'm going to put at number 9. It's a possibility. Number 8 is the idea that the murders actually happened earlier in the evening, sometime maybe around 2:50 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and that it took place maybe over a longer period of time. This is important and higher on my list because I feel like the story, the narrative that they got, that one killer did it by himself and killed 4 people on 2 floors of a house in about 8 to 10 minutes without leaving any DNA of himself at the scene other than one speck of DNA on a knife sheath, and not tracking any of the victim's blood out to his car, seems almost impossible to have done. I feel like more time needed to be done for a cleanup, more time had to be done for many different reasons, and the only reason we're stuck to the time frame that we are from 4:07 a.m. when the car supposedly arrived at the scene and 4:20 when it sped off is because they have to rest on the idea that Bryan Kohberger did it alone, and therefore that's the time window they have to work with. If you accept the possibility that multiple people were involved and that Bryan Kohberger wasn't the only one, then you can maybe overlook just that tiny narrow window and open that window more. And you do see evidence, by the way, that there's sounds, there's indications that things were happening in that house around 3 in the morning. So the whole entire story of Dylan and Bethany may be completely a fake story, and the events didn't happen all at 4 o'clock in the morning. Maybe they started happening at 3. That's a real possibility to me. I'm looking at the timeline inaccuracies, and it makes number 8 on my list. Number 7 on my list, this is the one I get my ass kicked for on a regular basis. It has to do with that name everybody hates being brought up, which is Brent Kopacka. And again, I want to point out the reason why he's interesting on my list. I think that I have proven through public records search that Brent Kopacka's mother comes from Pennsylvania, the Kohbergers come from Pennsylvania. There's online sleuths who have placed Brent Kopacka and Bryan Kohberger in the same city in Pennsylvania at the same time. Brent Kopacka's sister was into horror films. Brent Kopacka and his friends like Darren Duncan were big into horror films. So the likelihood that these individuals, if they all come from Pennsylvania and kind of are all into the horror film theme and all stuff like that, and possibly were in the same city at the same time and then end up in Pullman, Washington, across the country at the same time within 2 miles of each other, to me that's almost an impossibility to overlook. It's almost an impossibility. And then you factor in that even if Kohberger didn't know Brent Kopacka, even if he didn't, you've got a military vet with PTSD who, according to Darren Duncan himself, he believes that Moscow police may have thought that Brent Kopacka was involved in the Idaho 4 murders, and that's why they shot and killed him 1 month and 1 day after the murders. So to completely ignore the military soldier, trained elite soldier, and knife fighting of all things, when we know that the individuals were taken out supposedly with a knife, one knife in that house in about 8 minutes, that suggests somebody who's trained in knife fighting. So as a Army veteran trained in knife fighting with severe PTSD, all documented, can he be overlooked so easily as a possible suspect? And again, I apologize to anybody who just loses their shit about it, but it comes in at number 7 on my list because he has the skills and he has the mental instability potentially, and he even has connections in a weird way to Brian Koberger, which all leads us to wonder what really happened, and we can't rule out Brent Kopacka. Comes in at number 7 on my list. Number 6 on my list is the idea that Dylan and Bethany, or just Dylan or whatever, are involved somehow in on the murder scene. They may have let somebody into the house. They may have called, Dylan may have called and lured roommates back to the house to make sure that they were back by a certain time. There's indications that she was texting people to make sure that some certain people were driving, maybe delivering people. There's indications that Dylan knew what was going to happen, and it would make sense that Dylan's story is so sketchy and didn't seem to know that people got murdered in the house for 8 hours, and a lot of the things that come into her story in the 911 call and what I think happened, like for example, I think the possibility that the girls who knew what happened in that house left the door open potentially of the house and wanted, because it was a party house, for somebody to stumble upon the crime scene and be the first to report it, so that these girls who may be possibly in on it in some way weren't the ones who called it in. Because a lot of times the first person who calls in something is the first person you look at. Who was the person that discovered the body? You start looking there. So maybe they didn't want to be the ones to discover the body.
No, Brent was trained in hand-to-hand combat knife fighting. Yes, he very well trained in it, Demon. We found that out a long time ago. Welcome, Susie666. Good to see ya.
They had hoped that somebody would stumble upon the crime scene, and after 7.5 to 8 hours go by and nobody has discovered the crime scene, they decided they had to call something in and get this thing started. So what did they start with? Not by calling 911, but by calling friends over, again, to help discover the scene so that somebody else calls it in. That's all highly suspicious to me and makes it very high on my list. Coming in at number 6, that Dylan and Bethany are probably somehow involved, and they wanted to have somebody else discover the crime scene so it would take away the focus on their involvement in it in some way. Coming in at number 5 is the idea that there's multiple assailants and multiple weapons being used in this case. This, I think, is very high on my list because I just, again, fundamentally believe that the time frame, if you're going to stick with it, of 8 to 10 minutes, it doesn't make it very likely that one person can do all of that damage to 4 different people on 2 different floors in the course of 8 to 10 minutes. It suggests to me that there was things going on both floors at the same time and with multiple weapons. And there's plenty of evidence that even the defense has brought in a expert who said, in his expert opinion, this was done by multiple perpetrators using multiple weapons. That is a part of the court record. It's seldom talked about, but that is a part of the court record. The defense brought in a specialist whose opinion was this was done by multiple people with multiple weapons. I also believe there's a strong possibility this was done by multiple people with multiple weapons, and that different people got different wounds because there was different attackers and there was different motivations between those who were upstairs on the 3rd floor versus the 2nd floor. So it comes in high on my list of multiple assailants and suspects at number 5 as most likely to be true. Number 4, coming in at number 4, is the idea of a love letter to Catherine Ramsland, the professor at DeSales University who wrote the book on BTK. The reason this makes it so high on the list is, I have to say, in the very, very early stages, when I heard that Brian Koberger was a criminology professor, or a student, or a PhD candidate, I should say, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be interesting if this person thought basically, in a twisted way, his doctoral thesis will be, I'm so good at understanding how crimes are committed and covered up that I can commit the perfect mass homicide and get away with it. It was kind of like just a thought at the time, but I thought, wouldn't that make this a really interesting case if a criminology student had all the tools necessary to pull off the quote-unquote perfect murder and figured that he would do it as some kind of proof that he had mastered the subject matter. Then you insert his professor at DeSales who taught him about criminology and literally wrote the book on BTK, and you have to ask yourself, is that a possibility? Did Brian Koberger want to prove to his mentor and his teacher, for example, that he was now the master and could get away with the perfect crime? It's a little far-fetched in some regards for me, but obviously not far-fetched enough that I don't put it in my top 5. It is one of the top 5 things that I think is very possible, which would suggest that Brian Koberger did do it. And I do believe in the presumption of innocence until proven guilty, but I'm putting it pretty high on my list that there's a possibility that this is somehow that just exactly what I said, some kind of love letter, ode, or whatever to Catherine Ramsland and the work on her serial killer stuff. So coming in at number 3 is the budding serial killer idea, which is slightly different, which is the idea that Brian Koberger was obsessed with serial killers like Ted Bundy and BTK, and he'd studied under a professor who wrote about BTK, and that he himself basically had brought up within him the interest in doing crimes like this himself. Perhaps he idolized in some way or form serial killers that did these things, and maybe he feels detached from humanity and society in some way. Those indications are out there. We know that now that he has autism spectrum disorder, according to the defense. He's supposedly written things when he was younger saying that he felt different and detached from people and felt like he was just a bag of meat or whatever the case may be. He's written things in the past that indicate that maybe he views himself as differently. So I have to put it on the really serious to consider that there's a possibility Brian Koberger did it and that he was expecting to get away with it and maybe do something more. So again, I believe in the presumption of innocence until proven guilty, but I would be remiss if I didn't put it pretty high on the list that it could just very well be that Brian Koberger was detached from this and didn't have a lot of emotion about the situation and just simply wanted to see if he could do it, maybe was fascinated by it. That's high enough on my list that I'll put it at number 3 as a possibility, even though I give him the presumption of innocence. Number 2 on my list comes in with that suspect vehicle number 1, and I think there's a real good possibility that all of the vehicles that the prosecution is saying is suspect vehicle 1 are not the same vehicle and or are not Brian Koberger's vehicle, or don't tell the whole story. The idea that there was a green Elantra in the area with a license plate that's very distinctive and that's been picked up on one of those things, that's very possible. Yes, I think that's very possible. You can't see Brian Koberger or anyone in the car at all the times that you see the mysterious white Elantra, so we don't even know if Brian Koberger was driving the car. We don't know that it had a license plate on the front. Those things that they've been telling us for a long time apparently have been confirmed not to be true. Detective Payne on the stand admitted that they didn't have a good enough video to see that the car didn't have a license plate, but they wrote that in anyways after they found out Brian Koberger's name. So there's all kinds of shenanigans going on. I think they know. Cy Ray, an expert, has come in. I think they know for a fact that Brian Koberger's vehicle was not where they originally said it was and where they're going to try to convince the jury it was. I think that a dragnet has shown that Brian Koberger's car was somewhere completely away from the scene at the time, and so there's a very high probability that the prosecution's case of trying to prove Brian Koberger was there. It's not all the same car. It's not the story of what really happened, and so that's very likely, in my opinion, to be a major part of this scene. I'm putting this in at number 2 of the most likely things that I've heard that are probably going to come true. There's something wrong with that white Elantra, Hyundai Elantra story, all being Brian Koberger's car. And the number 1, the one you're going to hate me for, is the number 1 most likely scenario on my part is the jealous ex-boyfriend. And I know a lot of you people are saying, oh my God, no one's going to murder 4 people because their girlfriend broke up with them. If you don't understand that crimes of passion, especially ones where somebody has a deep-seated love for somebody who has betrayed them, and you don't understand that that's one of the leading causes of murder in this country is a sense of betrayal. Cheating, betrayal, loss of love, that is probably one of the most common murder scenarios in the country. And so I don't know where you people get the idea that it's crazy to think that somebody would kill 4 people for love, but that's exactly what I think is one of the most likely. It should have been the very first thing looked into, and maybe they did. There's indications Jack Shakur was on the radar and was dismissed early because he passed a polygraph test and because his DNA didn't match the button sheath in the house, and therefore he was ruled out. And I think perhaps too soon. In fact, Steve Gonsalves also questioned Jack DeCour, according to Howard Bloom's book, and made him roll up his sleeves and show to make sure he didn't have any damage, because even he thought that was the case. This is the most likely scenario if you look for motivation, because there is indications that Kaylee Gonzalez received bigger wounds and deeper wounds than anyone else in the house. It is as if she was targeted, and the other people who got killed were her friends. So if somebody had it out for Kaylee and gave her particularly bad wounds, it shows a crime of passion. Somebody was really, really angry at what Kaylee, about Kaylee, and maybe took out her best friends, Maddie Mogan and Xander Canoto, all from Coeur d'Alene. In fact, if Jack DeCour is a suspect, he comes from Coeur d'Alene and knows all those girls. Those girls probably supported Kaylee in leaving him and breaking up with Jack DeCour, which we know happened weeks before the murders. And we know that Kaylee, there was indications that Kaylee was humiliating Jack DeCour in a bar just before her murders that night, and had been warned by somebody that they're going to get you for this. If all of those things happen, which it looks like it did, this is the primary #1 suspect that I would put on my list. Now, the only thing I'll say about all of that is, now that Ann Taylor has put forward a proffer of alternative suspects, will she really bring up Jack DeCour, who's been a suspect from day one and was ruled out almost on day one? It seems like the judge will be like, we're not talking about this guy. He was ruled out on day one. Now, if she has new evidence, then that's a whole nother story. So there you are. There's my top 22 things that I've heard related to Idaho 4 and where I rank them. Where did yours show up on my list?
All right, guys, there it is. I just figured I'd run that, give you guys a little insight into what somebody else thinks about those things. I don't agree with all of them. There's a couple I can see, as we've talked about. Like Jesse said, though, I mean, there's got to be something that presumes guilt to be able to go along with the ones that Brian did it, in my opinion. So just saying. So there's that. All right, y'all. Let's see what dumb criminals we got out here floating around with us. Thank you to Mama Bear. And what dumb things they do. I'll be doing another show after this one today, guys, this afternoon. For those of you that are interested, once again, based on popular demand. Hang on here. Let me get this pulled up for you. And we'll get to moving. I really just don't understand how these people survive amongst us some days, guys. I don't get it sometimes. I don't. Good point there, Nelly. I kind of agree with that too. I was thinking about doing another show this afternoon. Once again, because everybody wants me to. No, not Idaho. Not at all, SRB. So let's jump into these dumb criminals and the things that they do that just blow my mind sometimes. First one we got today, guys, is a probationer attempts to pass off Gatorade as urine. So this is somebody that was on probation that had to go into probation on a regular basis and give urine tests to prove basically probably that he's not on drugs, and handed over some Gatorade and said, here's my pee. You don't think that's going to show up immediately? The Tabitha Colum was jailed for violation of her probation, which stems from a 2013 sentencing for animal cruelty. In Miami, recently attempted to pass off Gatorade and warm water as a urine sample during a meeting with her probation officer. She was jailed for the violation of her probation, which stems from that animal cruelty charge. Colum met with her probation officer in late January, provided the less than truthful urine sample. The officer questioned Colum about the sampler's source after abnormal color, blush, and abnormal test results. Colum admitted that she did defraud the test and removed a plastic pill bottle that was concealed in her place, said a Charlotte County Sheriff's Office report. Her probation officer subsequently discovered that the submitted solution was a combination of Gatorade and hot water. Wow. Why are these people so dumb? And how do they not think that they're going to get caught with this stuff? I don't understand it. I don't get this one. This next one, Florida, I'm telling you guys, is a mess. It is a mess. There's no two ways to say it, but Florida is a mess in a lot of different ways. Check this one out. Florida sex offender ordered to live in parking lot. As a convicted sex offender, Antonio Rodriguez Rivera was ordered to live in a small parking lot on the Channel Side Drive. Rivera, who had been prosecuted for impregnating his 14-year-old girlfriend when he was 23, was sentenced to community control and probation. For refusing to stay more than a few weeks in the empty lot, Rivera, 27, was sentenced to 10 years in state prison. On Friday, the 2nd District Court of Appeal reluctantly upheld Rivera's punishment. We are troubled by the fact that the terms of Rivera's community control have rendered him homeless. The court wrote, this does not appear to facilitate the goals of, of sex offender community control, which are treatment of the offender and the protection of society. This guy's a pretty small fellow, said attorney Richard Sanders, the public defender who represented Rivera in his appeal. Rivera stands 5'9", weighs 137 pounds, according to the Department of Corrections. Rivera was living in a van in a parking lot with a bunch of other sex offenders, Sanders continued. It's quite understandable that he might want to make a decision. He doesn't want to wait to be killed. It obviously puts him in a very, very much of a bind of what he is going to do. You either have to abide by the conditions of probation, which puts your life in danger daily and utter misery, or you violate the terms of your probation, hoping for a bit more comfort and wait for them to come and arrest you. Rivera tried to stay with family members, but his grandmother's home didn't fit the requirement that sex offenders live at least 1,000 feet from schools, parks, daycare facilities, and bus stops. According to court records, including a transcript of the January 2014 court hearing, trying to comply, his family moved to a new home they thought met the requirements, but Rivera's probation officer discovered a woman in the neighborhood was licensed to provide in-home daycare. It's not clear whether any children were present, but that didn't matter. Rivera had to go. Rivera violated his probation by not getting permission before going with his father to Pinellas County to get car parts, and he was jailed for 30 days in September of 2013. When Rivera was released, his probation officer, Sam Jones, told him he had to live at the small empty lot at 1200 Channelside Drive because it fit the 1,000-foot rule. Jones testified in court that one of the locations we usually put our homeless people at that time. Rivera's grandmother gave him a van to live in, and probation officials allowed Rivera to go to her house once a day for a quick shower. Jones called the van another concession that was made for him based on his blessings. Within weeks, Rivera decided he didn't want to stay in the empty lot anymore, and he went to live his family's home about 10 miles away. When the alarm on his electric monitor went off, the monitoring company called him. Rivera told the worker that he was at his father's house. He said he didn't want to stay in the van in the parking lot alone. So Jones wrote him up for violating the terms of his community control. It's the state position that he cannot comply with probation. Assistant State Attorney Courtney Hanson-Derry told Circuit Judge Chet Tharp during the hearing. Derry noted that probation had repeatedly told Rivera the rules. This was his second violation. She noted Rivera was completely understanding that he doesn't have a choice, but not wanting to stay there, she said. His public defender, Dana Fuguera, told the judge Rivera did everything he could to try and comply with the 1,000-foot rule. He was basically left with living in a parking lot on Channel Side by himself at night. Rivera didn't try to hide from his probation officer, she noted. He said that where he was, without elaborating, the judge concluded that Rivera was a willful and substantial violation and sentenced him to 10 years in prison. On Friday the 2nd, DCA, in spite of reservations, concluded that Tharp was within his authority. This situation raises a question into whether Rivera's residency restrictions could be better tailored to avoid making him homeless, the court wrote. But because the evidence was sufficient to establish multiple willful, substantial violations of community control, we cannot say that the trial court abused its discretion in revoking community control. The Department of Corrections would not answer questions about Rivera's case nor about the lot on Channelside Drive. Instead, the department issued this statement that the department assists offenders in locating areas that are compliant with residential restrictions. Offenders have the responsibility to find an appropriate residence that is in compliance with the conditions of supervision and applicable state and local residency restrictions. The department does not order offenders to live in any specific location. Sanders said that Rivera's case is not as unusual as you might think. This is wild. So again, at the end, they're like leper colonies. He said that nobody seems to be paying a whole lot of attention to it. They're not sympathetic. They're not a sympathetic lot of people. I suppose in some senses they brought it on themselves by their own voluntary actions, and I agree. Sanders said there are few solutions because the legislature is unlikely to change the law. Who wants to be one to introduce? Then maybe they need to build like a facility and just put them all in it. Hey, Zakali, good to see you, dear. It's possible for one person to do this and not track blood anywhere. It's possible. Very possible. So there's that. There again, another crazy situation. I never heard of that before, but just saying, pretty wild. Oh yeah. Wait a minute here. One second. This is an interesting one too. All right. So 28 inmates escape after Brazilian police officers are seduced. Oh boy. 28 inmates escaped from the Nova Mutum public jail near Cuba after 3 women allegedly seduced the prison officers while wearing sexy police costumes. The Daily Mail reports that the women gave 3 prison officers spiked whiskey after convincing them to take part in an orgy. The officers were found naked and handcuffed the next morning. After drugging and handcuffing the officers, the women took their keys, unlocked all the prison cells. Inmates walked out the front door carrying guns and ammunition that they took from prison caches. Police later found a bag of lingerie and skimpy leather police uniforms that they believe were used to distract the officers. The escape was allegedly orchestrated by the boyfriend of one of the women, who tricked the officers, who was an inmate inside the facility. The officers will be charged with facilitating a jailbreak and culpable embezzlement due to the theft of firearms. 8 of the inmates have been recaptured after a massive manhunt was launched. Wow. I mean, really, folks? Takes all types, you guys. Takes all types. Let me see here. I think that's our last one. This one's kind of funny, in my opinion. I think they all are, but hey, that's me. All right. Official, let's see. Florida man, here we are back in Florida, suspected of stealing car, took off on foot from a traffic stop and briefly eluded deputies while he grabbed a nap under a nearby trailer. Officials say a Florida man suspected of stealing a car, took off on foot from a traffic stop and briefly eluded deputies while he grabbed a nap under a nearby trailer. That the deputies followed the sound of 37-year-old Kevin Lee Barber snoring, described as a snorting wild boar, to discover him Sunday night in Santa Rosa County. Officials said that deputies tried to stop Lee of Pensacola after noticing his vehicle didn't have tag lights. They say that when the deputy activated the siren, Barber pulled off the road and ran. The deputy gave follow but lost sight of Barber. He was in the Santa Rosa County jail on Tuesday, accused of driving with suspended license. So the dude fell asleep and they followed the snoring, and that's how they found him. He must have been pretty tired, y'all. Just saying, he must have been pretty tired. It takes all types, you guys. It takes all types. These people are cute. They kill me. It's so funny. So funny. So who's interested in a little crazy, weird news on the world? Just weird, outright strange and weird. We throw this in every so often because I think it's interesting and I like following some of this stuff as well. Let me know if you are. If not, I guess we can go somewhere else. Every so often I bring up one of these weird stories. Let's see here. The weirder the better. Cool. Absolutely. Let's see here. Give me a minute, guys. All right. So did you guys hear about the guy that supposedly, I might have a couple stories for you, but the guy that supposedly came up with his own alternative fuel to gasoline? It's made out of I think it's like a plastic byproduct, waste from plastic byproduct or something like that. But anyway, he supposedly came up with his own alternative to gasoline, and it's supposed to change the world around or something. You know what I mean? Make it a better place, whatever. Anyway, well, now the story is that things are happening to him. And it's a weird story. It's pretty crazy going on out there to think of that. I don't know for sure yet, Fizzy, but here's one of the stories. I know you guys know that I follow the channel. It's called, his name is James. He puts all these wild stories out all the time. So this one came from him. So, hey, Missy Jane, good to see you. Let's check this out, you guys. It's pretty wild. If it's true, of course. So you guys go check out James's channel if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff. He puts out some really wild and crazy stuff out there. You won't be disappointed if you have even a slight interest in any of this stuff. Oh, wait a minute. All right, give me 1 second here, make sure it's going to work right, and we should be good. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, it is. It's all about money. That's no lie, Misty.
This is getting a lot of traction. So get this. 20 hours ago, this man, Julian Brown, and this is getting a lot of traction right now. He posted
He put this out 4 days ago, just so you guys know. So 20 hours ago was 4 days ago. He was saying that, just so everybody doesn't get lost. Oh, I like Casper's channel too, Nelly. He does good stuff too.
a video in which he officially released an alternative fuel to gasoline and diesel.
So I've created my own gas station that makes fuel from plastic waste.
And this is apparently going to change the world, but some believe that he is possibly in danger because of this.
A few days ago, all 10 of my lug nuts on my front wheels were loosened completely.
According to Julian, his alternative fuel is cleaner, cheaper, and less pollutant than diesel and gasoline, and it could actually change the world.
It blew my mind that plastic could be redistilled into diesel. I was surprised by how clean it was.
Renewable, which is yours is really considered as renewable.
So when you ran my diesel, it was very close to renewable diesel.
Very similar to renewable diesel.
So I just made this from freaking plastic, bro. Mates, you see this device behind me? It turns plastic into gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel.
And even though he's getting a lot of traction being featured on the news, interviews, and that sort of stuff, it's as if the topic is somewhat being censored.
how it was?
Absolutely. So in short, how it works is plastic seen as trash. It will only be seen as untapped potential energy.
This was posted 19 hours ago to Reddit and it was already deleted, or some would say censored. So I decided to find out if this is real and if it could actually change the world, and why some people believe that Julian might be in danger. After all, there's this theory that free energy and alternative energy sources have already been invented, but the inventors go missing.
A classic example of this, we've also developed
Exactly, Misty. Look what happened with Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla figured out a whole new range and variation for free electricity. And look what happened to him. Because you're taking money out of the pockets of the very, very big known money people, the investors, the big name families and stuff that invest and control the fuel markets. Okay, think about that. What happens then? If you take somebody's money, what are they going to do? They're going to come for you in some way. So instead of raising these people up that are trying to save the world so much money, they're taking them out in a sense. It's kind of crazy.
From this technology, which we call the water fuel cell injector.
So apparently it's not just Stanley Meyer. Taking a quick look into this, it's an extensive list. But why?
So today we're going to talk about the book Manual of Free Energy and Devices and System by D.A. Kelly. It goes into electrostatics and free energy. Something the Rockefellers can't put a meter on. But remember those weather vanes and lightning rods and orbs that used to be on top of the building?
Let's play a game. I'm going to name off some random people and you tell me how many random coincidences there are.
Deep diving into this bizarre rabbit hole, I came across theories that range from aliens, free energy, Nikola Tesla, and hidden technologies. We're going to deep dive into this, but before, let's start with the basic, and that would be Julian Brown and his alternative source of fuel. So this is his page, and he also has a YouTube channel, and I guess this is his most viral video. Let's take a look at this.
So I've created my own gas station that makes fuel from plastic waste. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Nice. Wow. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, wow, yeah, that looks kind of not ready yet.
It's still unrefined at that point, but still.
So this is plastic crude oil.
Okay.
But we need to refine it and clean it up. So let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. I can't believe this is gonna work. I mean, like, this is... I'm thinking here, is this actually viable in a large scale? Look at that.
After some time of the refiner being on, well, that plastic crude oil turns into plastiline. Now this is gas station material here.
That's crazy. So this guy just came up with a genius idea, making diesel and gasoline out of plastic waste.
Hey guys, we're out here scouting a new location for a 4Ocean cleanup, and we've got something that we want to show you.
What may look like sand under our feet is actually plastic.
So much plastic, trash, bags, right on the coastline. Stay tuned, a new cleanup coming soon.
So it's estimated that between 75 to 200 million metric tons of plastic are present in the ocean. That's a lot. So we have a problem with plastic waste, and this guy's idea actually sounds like a good solution. This, of course, ended up catching a lot of attention.
Benefit-based innovator Julian Brown.
Now, Julian is working on something extraordinary, taking two environmental wrongs and making a potentially huge environmental right.
Yeah.
It's called plastiline. Now, if you can't guess the name, it's gasoline made from plastic.
That's right.
To share her story, Julian joined us now, and thanks for joining us today. And
I'm
news! I'm on the news! Shut up!
As time went by, people wanted to know, does his product actually work? And just recently, he actually came out with some really interesting results.
Plastic diesel. Portland! This here is plastic diesel, a diesel alternative I made from plastic waste, verified by 2 independent labs to be cleaner than pump diesel. 100% made from mixed plastic waste, dirty plastic waste, contaminated plastic waste.
Okay.
This right here represents the future of all of humanity. Portland, are you guys ready? Yeah!
That's awesome.
And Portland, do you think the engine's gonna run? Yeah!
That's a really good point, Stephen. I've thought that myself recently, so thank you for throwing that out there. It's a good point.
I'm curious, is it gonna work?
So we're priming it right now.
Why is he filling the tank like that?
All right, guys, you guys ready? Because we're about to get it started. We're ready. There you are.
So this was 1 day ago, and apparently this thing is actually cleaner than pump fuel. So he made this announcement 1 day ago, and 20 hours ago he posted another video in which he does another test.
A diesel alternative made from plastic waste. A diesel alternative that has just passed a diesel test certification and has been scientifically proven to be cleaner than pump diesel.
So he entirely drains this car's tank, and then he adds his fuel and tests it. And apparently it works.
Right now, everybody, we are sucking all of the real diesel. Type of salt has just been sucked to dry up all the real diesel, and we're going to be putting my plastic diesel made from plastic waste inside of there. There we are! Yeah. Oh, look, that's even easier than I thought it was going to go. That was just... It's running.
So things are running smoothly for Julian, and like he said, he ran some tests in different labs, and they were pretty good. So good that it got the wrong type of attention, and we'll get to that in just a few seconds.
But based on the graph, it appears that this diesel probably burns cleaner than typical diesel.
Okay, so it's actually cleaner. This is interesting.
Previously saying that this was horrible fuel that would destroy engines and would pollute everything worse than regular diesel.
Well, you run the tests, and the tests don't lie. Numbers don't lie, and the results don't lie, so.
Okay, so let's take a look at these results. So conclusion is, it's more refined, higher performing, and cleaner burning, which is good, even though there's certain data that is missing for a full confirmation. So this is good, this is actually awesome. But taking a look at the comment section in most of his videos, this is what you get to see. Good meeting you, good knowing you, bro. I fear he will suddenly disappear. Man, good knowing you. This is the majority of comments. Awesome knowing you, nice knowing you, good knowing you, bro. Yeah. It seems that most people agree that this is a dangerous business. And it didn't take long before Julian actually started posting videos like this.
A few days ago, 2 days ago, all 10 of my lug nuts on my front wheels were loosened completely. And one of my wheels almost flew off going 70 miles per hour on the interstate. And of course, I had my car in the shop to get the wheel bearings replaced. So the first thing I did was call the mechanic, of course, and be like, what is this? Why are my lug nuts not tightened? And on the phone, he sounded really like distressed. Like he was like, it sounded almost like somebody was like holding to his head the way he sounded on the phone. Like he sounded scared, and like he wanted to get off the phone with me as soon as possible. And he told me on the phone, he was like, well, your bushings on your car are bad, and the vibrations from the bushings cause the lug nuts to loosen. I tightened them. And you don't even have to work on cars to know that that's absolute BS, right? The bushings, if your lug nuts are, tightened completely, that's not going to affect that at all, your bushings, because my control arms and sway bars and stuff do need to be replaced. but that had nothing to do with the lug nuts coming off. So I don't know. Like, I still to this day don't know if it was him or somebody else, but what I do know is my lug nuts were loosened and I was one lug nut away. By the time I pulled over, all but one lug nut was on. And most mechanics, they might miss one, might miss two, but nobody misses all five by accident.
Yeah, so that's pretty scary, isn't it? And apparently the comment section is full of people who agree. You're making a cheaper alternative to fuel. Be careful. Your invention is revolutionary. Be careful, bro. So yeah, maybe he's going into dangerous territory. And this leads us to this post made on Reddit that was deleted. So Julian Brown has debuted plastic diesel, an alternative to diesel that uses plastic. 19 hours ago, already removed by moderators. But why? Then you got the first top comment. This guy has been around forever. He's just using pyrolysis to make fuel. It's not new. And it uses significantly more energy than it produces. Don't get me wrong, money and time he spent to make it work is impressive, but it's not novel, and it's not practical. Not trying to rain on your parade, just wanted to provide some clarifications before people start jumping into conclusions. Wait a minute, what kind of conclusions don't you want people jumping into? So he's just using pyrolysis, it's not practical, and he's been around forever. Maybe this guy's right. Maybe there's nothing much to it. But then, I remembered something. Oh my gosh. Researchers secretly infiltrated a popular Reddit forum with AI bots, causing outrage. So apparently Reddit is full of bots. And on April 28th, this was actually official. University of Zurich has been using AI bots to secretly manipulate Redditors since November 2024. The bots were 6 times more likely to change people's minds, often by leveraging misinformation. There's even a Reddit user who categorized how the bots work. It could just be that one of these tactics was used to discredit Julian's ideas. Now, this is just one theory. The thing is, this wouldn't be the first time something like this is done. Apparently, there's a really deep rabbit hole when it comes to free energy or alternative sources of energy, and it's deeper than we think. Free energy or alternative sources of energy, the idea of a secrecy behind it revolves around the fact that it could change the world as it is, the industries, everything. But what if it also changes the concept of life as it is?
What we have here is a standard AC6H non-contact AC voltage detector. Now what this thing does is tell you where electricity is. For example, this wire is dead. There's no electricity, because I had the switch off. If I turn the switch on, it now says there's electricity. Cool thing about this is it'll pick up any voltage. Anything between, let's see, this one is actually 50 volts to 1,000 volts, and category 4, 1,000 volts. So, here's the weird thing I'd like to show you. What's up there? I'm not doing anything to it, guys. Kind of weird.
There's some researchers and people who believe that Nikola Tesla was right all along, that we can harness energy from the space around us.
Exactly, Joe. Why can't they harness that?
Holy crap, that's so... Look at the cooling fan! It's like a plane propeller. It's so...
So yeah, Ben showed you how to turn it on, right?
So this is supposed to be a mercury arc rectifier. What is this?
Dude. Whoa. Good. How close can we get to the thing?
Wow. How many volts is it generating?
800 volts.
Wow.
Well, it's maxed out at 800 volts.
How old is this thing?
1940s, bro.
But there's this theory that we never get to know about these things, mostly because it gets censored or blocked at some point.
His name was Max Logan, and at 13 years old, he discovered a device that cost only $14 and could create pure energy. He called it an electromagnetic harvester. And now people don't know what happened to him. I searched it myself, and some people say that he's missing. Other people said that he passed away with his mother in a car crash. Creating pure energy for only $14 is insane, so people think that the government came after him. But you can let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
Let's play a game. I'm gonna name off some random people and you tell me how many random coincidences there are. So this is Dmitry Petronov. Apparently he created a plasma battery that powered his 2-story house for 16 months. In 2010, he went to a bakery, and that's the last time the world ever saw him. Coincidentally, this is Zachary Warfield. He was also working on a plasma battery. He even met with Dmitry a couple of times to exchange notes. He died in a crazy boating accident.
Okay.
The leader of the European free energy movement. Apparently, they made a ton of headway. He had a breakthrough, but he fell out of a window. What? Oh, by the way, if you've already seen this video, it's because I posted one and it got pulled down for community guide.
You gotta be kidding me.
Feeling it might come back up, but I figured I'd make it again. John Allen was a nuclear physicist that worked with one of the largest military contractors in the world. He discovered something big, but then died of arsenic poisoning.
So the big question here is why? Why is it that this keeps happening? Some believe that it's mostly because it explains ancient civilizations and technologies that were hidden from us and kept in secret for
are the ancient Cometians. They're being depicted as giants. Now, we're saying to them, is it symbolic or is it actual? Why does it have to be either or? Why can it not be both? They could have been giants, but giants of mind. Okay, depicted. Showing here what obviously Chris first pointed this out in 1998 in the Giza power plant. This is a Crookes tube, obviously. Again, some people will say, and I won't mention names, that this is just symbolic. Why does it have to be both? This shows a knowledge of electricity that was there. Why, if it's symbolic, do you have a wire being plugged into a box?
I thought that was...
Of course, and this is the backbone of Osiris. The Jed pillar, Jed pillar, where they come to the name, used in Arabic today in Egypt, Jeddah means grandpa. Hakim was always called Jeddah. Jed pillar. But what it is, the backbone of Osiris also represents a spinal column, electricity being produced.
Now that actually does look like a light bulb, but that's not possible, is it?
So today we're going to talk about the book Manual of Free Energy and Devices and System by D.A. Kelly. It goes into electrostatics and free energy. Something the Rockefellers can't put a meter on. But remember those weather vanes and lightning rods and orbs that used to be on top of the building?
Wait a minute, that actually looks like the orbs, the alien spheres that we've been seeing.
Made of copper and gold? Look at how big this is. These are absolutely massive. Well, if you filled those orbs with mercury, and then there was a spin factor that took place, you create voltage.
I didn't know that.
Herman Plausen talked all about this.
Oh my gosh, he actually has something like this.
Atmospheric energy. There were patents to put balloons up into the air, gather the atmospheric energy. So if you use something like mercury, you amplify the energy that you got. Now check this. One big atmospheric antenna with an orb on top. Think about technology like this, the lightning rod, weather vane. You know that whole thing? I think it's much more than catching lightning, that's for sure. But this is something to look into. Look into mercury, look into the old world, look into the past, because you see a lot of stuff related to dynamos, Herman Plausen, and all these beautiful people who are understanding free energy.
You're telling me that in the ancient world, these metallic spheres that we see on top of buildings had mercury inside and could actually generate energy? But why would someone want to hide this?
Tartaria was everywhere, and history as we know it has been completely fabricated. At first we thought maybe the Dark Ages were just unclear, but it turns out they were invented to push a lot of events further into the past. We realized that it wasn't just small parts of history that might be wrong, everything was made up. One fascinating thing
oh my gosh,
we find around the world, in almost every city you'll find ancient Gothic style buildings with incredibly intricate designs. People look at them and say, oh, that's just how they built things back then. But some of these buildings are absolutely stunning. Think about it. If we lived in a feudal society where everyone was working just to survive, how would anyone have had the time, resources, or motivation to build something so elaborate and that worked the way they did?
I don't know if I agree with most of it, but it's an interesting theory. Let's continue.
These buildings weren't just practical structures like
our entire solar system with the push of a button. This is the reason why we have not had disclosure of UFOs.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So, in a sense of things, it's good that this technology isn't out there, but at the same time, it could change the world if humans could live in peace.
In this field today, the term zero-point energy is much in vogue. What has been found out over the last several decades, particularly in physics, is that the vacuum, the emptiness in front of you, when you remove the air from it and just look at the emptiness, is not really an emptiness at all.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we have alien tech that could actually generate free energy or something like that. Is it possible that we're not releasing it because humans would use it for nefarious reasons? But at the same time, it could be that there's something else to it. And what do you think about free energy? Does it exist? Is it being kept a secret? Is it part of the ancient world? And what do you think about Julian's fuel? Is it actually useful or practical, or is it just nonsense? Leave a comment, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel with notifications on, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Pretty wild, folks. Pretty wild, pretty wild, pretty wild. I know what everybody thinks about it, but definitely some crazy stuff going on out there. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe something will come of it and it'll revolutionize the world if the guy makes it. You know what I mean? That's the big weird part about the whole thing. So, just saying. It's definitely something to think about. Hey, Yvonne, good to see you today. Let's see here. 1 second here, guys. Yeah, definitely. I mean, completely. That could completely revolutionize the world in some senses. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry, Yvonne. I'm sorry if I put you to sleep. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. Hang on here. All right, y'all. Grab your tissue boxes. A little bit of positivity coming your way here just to reiterate the goodness out there in the world as we try to do on a regular basis. Let's see what we got in here today for you.
Change someone's life, make a dream come true, or just make a person smile.
Hey there, Chopper. Good to see you. Great to have you here. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well.
This guy is telling his blind cousin about everything that happens in the game. I've never seen a better sports commentator. Parents lost their 7-month-old son, but chose to donate his heart for a transplant patient. There are no words to describe the emotions of a mother hearing her baby's heart inside the chest of the girl who received the transplant.
Well, we saw this one the other day. We'll see if I can move past these ones. Sorry, guys. Hang on. All right, sorry guys, here we go.
真谢谢您，你是吃吧，你要是吃不了你就拿回去。你还给我买饭买好，别吃这个了。谢谢你，谢谢你，我就。
A guy was watching this woman's live stream when he saw she was harassed by some men in the street. He recognized the location and realized he was nearby.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Students wanted to thank their favorite teacher for her efforts before she retired, so they gave her an iPad.
I'm sorry. I'm a cry. Yeah, we didn't buy you a pen.
A 12-year-old boy was really upset that he couldn't invite his friends over for a birthday celebration due to COVID.
Jesus, that one's been on 3 different versions of this. It's crazy.
How you doing? Oh, not too bad. How are you doing?
This guy invited a 100-year-old veteran to Disneyland, making it the best day of his life. Just listen to him talk about how grateful he is to his new friend.
Oh, I'll remember this day for a long time. You don't know how much I appreciate this. You don't know.
This girl asked the man who raised her to officially adopt her. He took care of her for 21 years without having any biological kids of his own. And this was his reaction. This mom hasn't seen her son in almost 3 years. Just imagine her joy. An entire stadium wished this special fan a happy 21st birthday during the game. Just listen to this. This man got a tattoo of a cochlear implant to support his son when the boy felt embarrassed to wear his hearing aid. And here's another emotional display of brotherly love. This guy shaved his head in support of his sister undergoing cancer treatment. This woman rescued a lion named Jupiter from a circus when it was just a cub. Jupiter's mom died from cruel treatment, and the young lion ended up in an animal rescue center, after which he was sent to a zoo, where his health really declined, causing the animal to lose hundreds of pounds. Finally, Jupiter's adoptive mom rescued him again, making sure he was returned to a sanctuary. And here is their reunion after all the trials and tribulations. This woman hasn't seen her brother for almost a year, and this is her reaction to his return. Dom from Youngblood stopped his performance to help a fan who was having a seizure. This police officer issued a fine to a guy for public alcohol consumption, but then fellow students immediately started giving him cash so the fine could be paid off. Who wouldn't consider that a good deed? Elephants accepted a human into their herd because he took care of them, but then he had to go away for 14 months. And look at the way they greet him when he returns. These people were driving past when they spotted fire on someone's porch. They knocked on the door to alert the homeowner and even put out the fire.
I'm handing out donuts and coffee.
coffee to you guys today. This is too funny. There's 6 donuts in here. You can pick from if you want one, and then I also got a gift card for you. I'll let you take 2. Chocolate. There you are, my man. Yeah. Yeah, if you get the word out and they see me, have them light me up or something.
And this was a social experiment, and people passed the kindness test. These people struggled to cross the flooded street when suddenly, and here's another example of a kind excavator operator. This guy fell asleep and his head would have kept hitting the back of the seat if it weren't for another passenger lending his hand to a stranger. This girl is saying goodbye to her dad before he is deployed. Just listen to her sage advice.
And you gotta make some pictures for me so I can see. Come on in.
The staff at a retirement home organized a surprise party for a 103-year-old birthday girl, making her very happy.
Happy birthday, dear Laura. Happy birthday to you.
A nice bonus for marathon runners.
Genetics test to see about her belly.
This girl found her dad's biological father, whom he had been searching for his entire life. Look how emotional he got when he learned that he has many new relatives.
You have a dad.
Watch we make our mom's dream come true.
For the first time in 20 years, the family gathered together to make the mom happy, and it was a success.
I know I might seem a little sad up here, but these are tears of joy.
This boy made the entire wedding cry with the touching speech he wrote for his sister.
I love you so much and I am so happy. You gave me a brother-in-law.
1, 2.
When your husband gives you a car for your birthday, he's a keeper.
Oh my God!
This little girl really wanted to make someone happy, so her mom brought her to the dementia unit so that she could give out dolls, which are said to have a positive effect on memory. This girl put her brand new business cards into the box to let her grandpa know that she became a lawyer. He is so proud of her, he cried with joy. This man's wheelbarrow got stuck in a trench, but watch what his dog does. If only everyone had a helper like that. This pilot's flight was delayed by 1.5 hours, and he found a useful way to spend his time by helping to reload bags to the cargo department. This is a heartwarming birthday tribute to a World War II veteran organized by the current members of the military. They saluted the man while wearing uniforms from that time period as a part of a parade of over 20 cars. Even the Queen's Guard is not safe from having a mishap, but the most important takeaway from this story is this.
This morning I got a call from a Secret Santa.
An anonymous person posed as a Secret Santa to gift a car to a teacher who worked at this school for over 30 years. Always helped children and animals in need, but had no way to replace her old car. And here is her reaction to the gift.
That's a car key. That's a key to an SUV that's right out here. That was great.
Merry Christmas. Can I give you a hug, Bonnie?
Anonymous, no more.
I feel completely connected to Pocho.
And this person is known for his long friendship with Pocho the crocodile, which even made his wife leave him. Well, at least it's easier to find a new wife than to find a new crocodile friend. And here, lionesses Meg and Amy greet their friend Kevin Richardson, also known as the Lion Whisperer. At some point, he rescued them from poachers, and now he's teaching them to live in the wild. This bull is very attached to the people who saved it from certain death after a bullfighting match. They have been friends for 8 years. Four years ago, veterinarian Kelly Bennett rescued Ricky the bear from awful conditions in a mini zoo. And here is their first very emotional reunion. This 53-year-old parrot called Feather was found a month before this little girl was born. For the last 15 years, the bird lived in a basement, and the new family planned to find a sanctuary where Feather could go after the baby is born. But everything changed. Look at this beautiful friendship.
It's a house. We bought you a house for Christmas.
This woman's son-in-law gave her the best Christmas gift. He paid off her mortgage. To make it happen, he sold a valuable collection of Patrick Mahomes cards that he'd been collecting for many years. This girl just graduated from nursing school, and her loudest, most genuine supporter is her little boy.
Say go, Mommy.
Just look at the way this 6-year-old is helping his brother manage a meltdown using a breathing technique. I think he will make a great therapist in the future.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
A flight attendant noticed her school teacher among the passengers and made a touching speech in her honor.
Thank you, Miss O'Connell. I love you.
Then she gave her the biggest hug, saying some lovely words to her in person. Most amazingly, this happened on International Teachers' Day.
I love you. I love you. I'm going to email you, and I'm going to keep in contact. I introduce you to my daughter.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
This elderly dog is greeting its friend from the retirement community. This happens every morning. This moped driver is pushing the car that ran out of fuel.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, jump in.
The bride was 45 minutes late to her wedding. This guy paid for his ticket, and look how happy that made him. This driver used his car as a bridge, allowing children to cross the road without stepping into a deep puddle.
Hey, Mom. We have a surprise for you.
And this woman gave her mother a diamond made from her grandma's ashes.
Open it up. It's beautiful. Oh.
This girl was crowned prom queen, but she decided to give her crown to a classmate with cerebral palsy who has to rely on a wheelchair. Store clerk Tim McLeod worked at a grocery store for 23 years. And in that time, he accumulated an entire fan club that organized an amazing send-off for him. But that's not all. During Tim's last shift, people collected over $26,000 for him.
We got 22 and up. We're so
Take care, Susie. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye. That'll do it for those for today, guys. A little bit of positivity, a little bit of good news, a little bit of just random good stuff going on, random acts of kindness, just to prove again, once again, that the the world is not such a horrible, horrible place all on a regular basis. As much as we see it, there's always some good going on out there, guys. And last but not least, let's see if we can get a few laps in before we get out of here. Have a great one, Susie. Again, thank you for joining us. Hopefully we see you again soon. All right, guys, just give me one moment here. Let's see. All right, let's see if we got some stuff to laugh about here. Or at least smile at before we get out of here, guys. Again, thank you all very much for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let's see what we got. Let it go, dogs. Let's go. Now the dog's coming.
Kobe. What?
That's enough.
I got this for you. No! Why did you do that? No! Sienna. Cypress. Nova. Akira. Travail. Tundra. Cyrus.
took the cookie off the counter.
Get her back. Rissa, get back.
Rissa, back
get
up.
back. Your eyes gonna pop out.
Up.
Rissa, back seat. Get her back. Rissa, oh my word.
All right, guys, that'll do it for today. I appreciate you guys joining us. I hope made you laugh a little there, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. And hopefully, I will be able to see you out here shortly, here within a few hours, on another secondary show for the day. Thank you, moderators, for joining me. Thank you, everybody else, for joining me. As always, Chopper, it was great to see you as well. Hope to see you guys here a little bit later, guys. Don't forget to love yourselves and love each other. Don't change nothing. You guys are the beautiful people, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Life's a journey, let's make every moment shine. Together we share, our hearts so intertwined. Each time you tune in, we're dancing in sync. With every story told, just let your soul think. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. Kick back, take a breath, leave your worries behind. This podcast is magic, a treasure you'll find. With every moment shared, we light up the way. Join us next time for more laughs and play. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. Kick back, take a breath, leave your worries behind. This podcast is magic, a treasure you'll find. With every moment shared, we light up the way. Join us next time for more laughs and play. So hit that subscribe, keep the vibe alive. We're riding this wave and it's set to thrive. With smiles all around, let's seize the day. In this podcast family, worries drift away. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. So gather round friends, it's time to reflect. In this joyful moment, what's next to connect? Let's cherish the laughter, the joy that we spread. Together we'll thrive until our hearts are fed. See you next time with stories anew. Can't wait to share more with all of you. So hit that subscribe, keep the vibe alive. We're riding this wave and it's set to thrive. With smiles all around, let's seize the day. In this podcast family, worries drift away. So hit that subscribe, keep the vibe alive. We're riding this wave and it's set to thrive. With smiles all around, let's seize the day. In this podcast family, worries drift away. So gather round friends, it's time to reflect. In this joyful moment, what's next to connect? Let's cherish the laughter, the joy that we spread. Together we'll thrive until our hearts are fed. See you next time with stories anew. Can't wait to share more with all